580 Sports Talk coming to you on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for stopping by and joining us on a very nice day here in the capital city of Kansas. Jake LeBon, Brandon Dorzinski, Dan Lucero with you. We got a lot to cram into 3 hours today. That's right, because the Red Hot Royals are in action tonight. That is correct. Taking on the Detroit Tigers. We're going to give away our final giveaway of Royals tickets today. How about that, guys?
Nice.
How about that? You can go to either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and the Royals are done.
It's the Yankees in town, and it's the rarest of Yankee games, meaningless Yankee games, because those bums aren't making the playoffs either.
Yeah,
they're just like the Royals.
You know what?
Except the Royals have a better, well, theoretically, because they've got better odds to get a better draft pick, so therefore, it's better to be the Royals than the Yankees.
You know what is kind of wild? These are the two of the very best records in all of baseball in the month of September. In fact, no team in baseball has more wins since August 28th than the New York Yankees. They're, I believe, 18-8 in their last 26 games.
So what you're telling me is that the Royals got to get some dubs against the Tigers in order to not lose 107.
I'm telling you, it's just 1977 all over again.
Big time.
I think 77. Am I right about? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, 77 all over again.
Yeah.
But no, a great opportunity to see all of those famous Yankee greats that you know and love, like Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Ben Rortvedt, Estevan Florial, Michael King, Ian Hamilton, and more. All the Yankee greats will be on display.
I think you meant to say Ian Kennedy.
No,
Okay.
he's not.
That's former Royal great Ian Kennedy.
Yeah.
He ever played for the Yankees?
He came up as a
Yeah,
Yankee.
he came
I
up
think
as
he
a Yankee.
debuted as a
Yep.
Yankee.
I think he did.
Yeah, he was
He
actually there
was-
for 3 years.
Yeah, he was traded to Arizona. It was a pretty big trade, and I don't remember who the Yankees got in return for Ian Kennedy.
Well, we will give away some Royals tickets. We're going to talk with Jesse Newell at the bottom of the hour. We will do a little overreaction, proper reaction, college and NFL edition. And Michael Swain will join us to talk a little KU football. Big 12 schedule drop today. We'll drop that in for headlines coming up as well. So a lot to get to. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Also, check us out on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, type in 580 Sports Talk, hit the subscribe button. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section as well. So should be a lot of fun on this very nice Tuesday afternoon. The Kansas City Chiefs are leading the division. It is terrific. The Broncos are a dumpster fire. Although I don't want the Broncos to be the worst team in the league. I don't. Because I don't want Caleb Williams in our division. I don't want another good young quarterback in the division. I want, I don't want that to happen. Because
Spin zone. Are the Chiefs the best team in the league?
in the AFC West?
In the NFL?
Do they have the best quarterback in the NFL? How about that question?
I think so, yeah.
Are they the reigning Super Bowl champions?
Yeah.
Are they still a contender? Are they still the favorites to win the Super Bowl?
Actually, no.
No, the Eagles.
The 49ers are now the betting
passed them?
favorites.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that on the
Are they
Athletic today.
tops among AFC teams to win the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Okay.
You should not be scared.
I just
You shouldn't be scared
No,
if
I'm
Prime
not-
Joe Montana joins the team right now.
I don't. Prime Joe Montana would be pretty salty throwing the football right now. I just want
Not to that group.
I just want the Chiefs to, go up against crappy teams like the Broncos and the Raiders continue to be. That's all. I'd rather not the Broncos get a good quarterback to make it easier. I mean, that's what I want. I hope the Bears, or the Cardinals get them.
Philosophically speaking, though,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you're going to win anyway.
But I'd rather, it's fun to make fun of the Broncos.
Isn't it funnier if you're good and still disappointing than if you're just sad? As a rival, that's funnier. Like the Vikings, to me, are far funnier than the Detroit Lions. The Lions have been bad my entire life, save for, 2 years. I wasn't born in 1991. 2 years. They've been a laughingstock other than that. Maybe this year they'll make the playoffs again. The Vikings, they get there all the time. They get there. They get the girl to come home. They they get to, grab the brass ring or whatever, but then they fall off the ladder. Or then they drop Crow and she leaves.
I don't know.
That's the Vikings.
I don't know, because right now it is really fun being a Chiefs fan of where the Broncos are at. Not gonna lie to you. It is kind of nice. But I want to talk about the Chiefs defense, because the Chiefs defense is really good. It is far better than what we thought it would be at this point. And Matt Verderam brought up a good point yesterday when he talked about first round draft pick who might be one of the best corners in the NFL in Trent McDuffie. And he mentioned that Trent McDuffie, with starting and playing the entire game, or the majority of the game, the Chiefs have only given up one 300-yard passer in that span, and that was against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and they threw for 302 yards. So I wanted to look at it a little bit more. I wanted to look at who they played, how many yards, who was the quarterback, because I do think that matters. I really, really do. And typically, what was their number last year? This year, not enough sample size to be 3 games in. You could have a good game and a bad game, and I thought a little too short a sample size. So I looked it up. He's played in 17 games as an NFL corner. I'm going to include the Arizona game because he played, half the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Very first game. And then he didn't play for 6 weeks because of his hamstring. But this is what Trent McDuffie has helped the Kansas City Chiefs do. Arizona threw for 178 yards. His next start was Tennessee. They threw for 57 yards that game. You guys remember that one? That was wild. Malik Willis was the quarterback. Then Jacksonville threw for 240 with Trevor Lawrence, and the Chargers 250 with Herbert. The Rams had your boy, Perkins.
Bryce Perkins.
Yep, he threw for a whopping 82 yards. Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, 279. Denver with Russell Wilson, 214. The Davis Mills Project for Houston at 125 yards. Geno Smith at Seattle for 200. Denver again, 190. The Raiders, 180 with Derek Carr. Jacksonville, 205 with Trevor Lawrence.
We're into the playoffs now.
We're in the playoffs there. Cincinnati, 238 with Joey B. Philly, Jalen Hurts, 302. And then this year, 250 yards with Goff, 197 with Lawrence, and 87 yards with Fields. So looking at all of that, the one thing that I concluded with all of this is that if the Chiefs have Trent McDuffie and face a garbage quarterback, they're going to dominate that quarterback because most of them don't do squat. Now, whether that's with McDuffie or not, hard to say, the whole correlation, causation type of deal. But the one thing that I notice is that if you have a really good quarterback, you're still not throwing to what your average is outside of Jalen Hurts. And 11 of the 17 games, the Chiefs have given up 225 yards passing or fewer. And really, of those 11, only 2 of them are good quarterbacks. I think Geno Smith's a good quarterback. I do. I think Geno can throw it.
Good NFL starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know what side of we used to call it the Derek Carr line.
Yeah.
But I don't know what
he's
side
better
of
than
that.
Derek Carr.
You think he's better than
Yes,
Derek Carr?
I think he's better than Derek Carr. Yes. So I look at that as if you got a quarterback who is average to below average, man, the Chiefs do a terrific job of pass defense against them. They don't let crappy quarterbacks go off. But they also don't allow really good quarterbacks to really have a great day. Hurts really has been the only one who's had a great day over 300 yards. And I think this is pretty impressive. And some of them are pretty good passing attacks. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, obviously Herbert and some of those. So I look at this and say, seeing that number, 17 games with Trent McDuffie as one of the corners, only one 300-yard passer. Most of the time, the opposing team is also going to pass because the Chiefs are going to be winning that game, since they've won a majority of these games. I think that's kind of sneaky impressive for what this pass defense has done with Trent McDuffie. They've faced their fair share of turds at quarterback. I mean, let's call it like it is. Malik Willis and Perkins and Davis Mills, they're not great quarterbacks, but they're also not just stopping them. They are not getting anything. So that kind of makes me feel a lot better about this game coming up against Zach Wilson, against the Denver Broncos. But I wonder how much of it is Trent McDuffie, or is this just in general the Chiefs passing defense is really good? How much is McDuffie impacting this Chiefs team as opposed to if they didn't have him? Because I think Trent McDuffie has played very, very well. And also our friends at Pro Football Focus. Now, Pro Football Focus, take what you will from them. Sometimes I agree with them. Sometimes I don't. But at least they are consistent with their metric. They have Trent McDuffie as the best corner in the NFL right now. The best corner. And in fact, Trent McDuffie is further away from the number 2 corner than the number 2 corner is from the number 5th corner. So he's playing at an elite level. One, I don't think people know this because he's not a interception type of guy. That's not who he is. In order to get fanfare and love and excitement, one, I think you have to intercept passes. He has not intercepted a pass yet in his career in 17 games. And he's only played in 17 games. So people don't really know him yet. Maybe at the end of this year, if he plays all 17, they see how good he is. But low-key, seeing some of these numbers, it's a lot more impressive than I initially thought. One, with how it helps to have Trent McDuffie in the lineup, but also just for the sheer number of, man, the Chiefs have done a nice job against the pass overall the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that go into this, and McDuffie is obviously a big part of that. I think it's just as valuable to look at the games where he didn't play and what the Chiefs did against the pass, and you've got examples that are kind of up and down. I mean, so the 5 games he missed, or what was it, 6 games he missed last season when he was on IR with the injury, played the Chargers the next week. They had 326 yards to the air. Really good quarterback. They played the Colts. That game they lost. Only 177 yards allowed. They played the Bucs.
Is Matt Ryan in a statue back there?
Yeah. When they played the Buccaneers and Tom Brady, who even in his old age could throw it, and they just refused to run. They had 3 rush yards in that game.
I do remember that.
373 yards to the air. But again, they only ran the ball like 5 times the entire game. 223 against the Raiders. That was the team that, I know you are America's #1 Derek Carr hater, but they still throw the ball around. It's Josh McDaniels' offense. So 223 in that game without McDuffie. Against the Bills, elite quarterback Josh Allen, 318 yards passing. Against the 49ers, Jimmy G played in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
343 passing yards for the 49ers, but that's also a little bit different because that game was over about 5 minutes into it.
Yeah,
the Chiefs dominated.
Garbage time in the second half.
And they won by
game.
20 points.
Yeah, so I don't know how. Not all yardage totals are created equal.
Yeah.
And similarly, too, that game against the Titans, where Malik Willis was awful. What was it, his second career start, first career appearance, something like that?
Like a 40-yard screen pass to the tight end that went for 40 yards, and then after that, it was like one completion.
Yeah, I know the Chiefs were ahead for almost all of that game, but the Titans ran the ball well in that game. So it was less about, I mean, they made it a 1-score game because they were able to run the ball effectively. Yeah, so, they're not all created equal, but I think part of it is the fact that McDuffie is that good as a corner. I think over time, as we have talked about before, it takes a while for Spagnuolo defenses to have everybody mesh together. And the secondary last year, as we remember, was brand new. Those early games, start of the seaon against the Chargers and Herbert's 300 plus, against the Bucks and Brady's 373. Jalen Watson was playing his first career action. Joshua Williams was a Division II fourth rounder, and that's not disrespectful to Division II, but the SEAC is not exactly playing Tom Brady in your third career game or whatever. By the end of the year, those numbers, McDuffie was getting back, but everybody else was rounding into form. Rookies are not rookies by week 17 and 18, right? We hear that all the time. And the same this year when these guys are more experienced. Cook's more experienced at safety. Reed, like you mentioned, he was either on postgame or yesterday, Dan, feels more comfortable in the secondary, looks more comfortable.
I remember he mentioned at the last half of the year, last year, he was rated one of the top 2 safeties in the NFL.
Yeah.
The back half of the year when he understood Spags' situation and his defense.
So if you wanted to give credit to one player above any other, like who is making the biggest individual impact, I'm comfortable saying it's McDuffie. I said a few weeks before the season started, I think he's an all-pro this year. I predicted he will be an all-pro. But I also think you have to say this pass rush has gotten really good, really, really good, and the rest of the secondary has improved as well.
Yeah, it's a team effort, obviously, but it's also, I think, just as obvious that McDuffie's the best guy in that secondary. Let me ask you this. Can you remember him giving up a big play? I remember one time in these first 17 games that I've seen Trent McDuffie on the wrong end of a big play.
Wasn't it in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
A.J. Brown caught the touchdown over it.
McDuffie I think it was a...
He mistimed his jump.
Yeah,
all he did.
McDuffie was with him and then mistimed the
same
jump.
one you're thinking?
That's the exact
that's
same
the only
one
one that I
I'm
could think of.
I'm struggling sitting here to recall teams testing him over the top. When teams take deep shots, it's either the middle of the field or it's L'Jarius Sneed in boundary coverage, or it's been Jalen Watson in boundary coverage, or Joshua Williams in boundary coverage. Those one-on-one situations where cornerbacks either get cooked or they make plays on the ball and get interceptions, Trent McDuffie hasn't had many of those because I think there's a healthy amount of respect for the cover man that he is just 17 games into the season. The other thing, too, that I think bears mentioning, if you go back and you look at the Jacksonville game, and Jacksonville's got a lot of, I mean, they obviously have not played as well as I think a lot of people thought the first 3 weeks, and that loss to Houston is a bad one, but they've got weapons at wide receiver, like guys you have to account for. Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley are those guys. If you watch the big passing downs against the Chiefs in that game, the Chiefs were happy to double team both Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley on a lot of those snaps. They brought a safety down or they would pass off to a safety, but they were bracketing or double teaming those wide receivers. And the reason they could do that is because they knew the corner they would leave in one-on-one coverage on the other guy, whether that was Marvin Jones or Zay Jones, or whoever it was, the cover corner they were leaving on that guy was Trent McDuffie. And they trusted Trent McDuffie in one-on-one coverage. Whoever he's got, McDuffie's going to take care of him. That's the status he has in Steve Spagnuolo's mind. I thought that was really revealing of that, the way that they schemed the Jags, where they helped out on those other 2 wide receivers, but whoever Trent McDuffie had, they weren't going to worry about double teaming because McDuffie would put those dudes in a seatbelt. That, to me, is the measure. I mean, we talk about interceptions. Well, you can't intercept the ball. Like, Darrelle Revis's interception numbers weren't great because they weren't throwing him the ball. After the year he had 8 interceptions, Richard Sherman's interceptions total went down because you stopped throwing him the ball. I'm not putting Trent McDuffie on that level yet, but very clearly teams would prefer not to test him when they're looking at their options. When quarterbacks are looking at their options against the Chiefs defense, they know to avoid 22.
I think this is the last thing I'll mention with this. I think that Trent McDuffie has the chance to be the first, I don't want to say superstar, that's like the wrong word, but the first true elite player at an elite position that Brett Veach will have drafted. Because do you consider corner an elite position, or is that not?
Yeah. Oh, no, it absolutely is.
Okay.
Quarterback, corner,
DN.
Number 1 pass rusher, cornerback.
Okay.
Those are your 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like he's drafted really good players. He has, right? I mean, especially he's gotten some great value in players, right? You know, Dan in the 5th round is a good value, to be honest with you. We know Trey Smith in the 6th round, good value. Creed Humphrey in the 2nd round, Nick Bolton in the 2nd round, right?
Mm-hmm.
But none of those are elite positions. They're I mean, you know, Creed Humphrey is an all pro type of guy, you know, same thing. But Trent McDuffie's the first guy that Brett Veach will have drafted that has a chance to be special at a premium position. And I think that is important because eventually Chris Jones ain't going to be there. Kelsey's not going to be there. The next thing for Brett Veach is to draft that dude. And I think he's got the best opportunity right now. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, great draft pick, obviously. Great draft pick, right? 7th round running back. He's been good. You know, this is the first time where I say I think Trent McDuffie has a chance to be special. And we were 17 games in, but there's a little bit of correlation to why he's in the Chiefs secondary has been that good. A lot of good quality picks. L'Jarius Sneed in the 4th round, a great pick. But Sneed's not elite to me. He's very unique. He's more like he's
one of the best at what he does.
He's a unique piece on the chessboard. He's like a knight, you know, he can do like different things, you know, like you can go over and to the left or to the right, you know, but he's not, you know, the diamond in the rough, you know, queen. Whereas I think Trent McDuffie can be that type of guy. I do. Coming up, we will get to some Royals ticket giveaways and something interesting that I thought, is this going to happen in the future for another sport? We'll get to that next. O'clock pregame coverage. 5:40 first pitch from Detroit.
Final home series of Miguel Cabrera's career.
Yeah, hanging him up. We could joke about how the A's and their, you know.
We did. That was a What Is Wrong With You last week.
It was? Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, A's.
Gave him a $90 bottle of wine.
No, it's the fact that he's a recovering alcoholic.
Yes. No, it was everything about it was wrong.
Gee, came as a good bottle of wine. I mean,
$90 bottle of wine. And then they devalued it by having the whole team sign it.
and you give it to a recovering alcoholic. Anyways, yeah, they take on the Tigers coming up tonight. Bob's got to get a home run. He's got 6 games left. Come on, Bob. Gone on like a 10-game stretch where he doesn't hit a home run. Granted, they've won like 9 of those 10 games. Anyways.
Are the Royals better without him? Is this Ewing theory?
I don't know. I mean, are they better without him hitting home runs?
Yeah.
That's what we're going with.
Yeah.
Before we get to the little Royals, I saw this and this made me wonder about baseball. Okay. The Las Vegas Knights are going to have their own app basically to stream their sports.
The hockey team?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's going to be $70 for the entire season.
Okay.
But let's say you're a Chicago Blackhawks fan.
Yeah. That'd be a shame.
Yeah. Who would do that? Would you pay $70 to watch your hockey team?
No.
I mean, is $1 a game a decent price?
Man, if I were a diehard, like I would like to be able to watch more of my favorite NHL and NBA teams, but cannot because both NHL Center Ice and NBA League Pass blacks us out.
Right now, the Colorado Avalanche would have their own personal deal where they would broadcast it and it would go stream and it was $70. Would you pay it?
I would think I would have to like go in on it with somebody else and share an account because like I feel like if me and my brother and my dad did it, we'd probably get our $70 worth. I don't know that I would. Like I just don't sit down. Like I like the Avalanche. I follow the team. I root for the team, but I am not like other than football and baseball, because baseball's my favorite sport. I am not a clear the calendar. This regular season game is on. I don't watch enough regular season games. To make it worth it.
So what's that? See, to me, this is interesting because they viewed it $1 a game. That's all it costs. $1 a game. So and if you watch half of them,
well, less than that.
Yeah,
hockey plays 82 games.
Well, yeah. So, but they're broadcasting just 70 of them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So let's say you watch half of them and it's just $35. Every time you watch a game, it's $2. That doesn't seem egregious. So I kind of look at it as, what about baseball? Like if the Royals had their own because we talk about MLB taking the rights and distributing
and
it.
We've already seen 2 teams who were formerly with Bally Sports do this.
And what would it cost? Is it 50 cents a game? Is it $80 for the year? You get every single game on any single platform. You just log in. I wonder what it would, because to me, $80 to watch the Royals for an entire year isn't terrible. It really isn't. But I don't know. Is it the price or is it just the fact that you got to actually log on to it? Because the people who are paying for $70 to watch the entire season, they're already watching it anyways.
There is only one sport in this country that has like a more active viewership than passive viewership, and that's the NFL. That's football. Just speaking of pro sports, like baseball, most people who, if you asked, do you like baseball? Most people who would say yes to that question are passive viewers. It's like when you've talked about your friends a lot before who like the Royals but aren't like diehard fans.
They're gonna watch them.
They're flipping through cable. Oh, you know what? Dinner's done. Not a lot going on tonight. Yeah, sure. Like, the Yankees are in town. Sure. Y'all watch the Royals game. Sure. It's on cable.
They got to fall into it.
Yeah. It's easy. You can just flip it on. It's there. You don't have to do much to get there. Whereas, like, I'll use an example for a listener. Our pal Christopher, who's a regular YouTube watcher, diehard Royals fan. Huge Royals fan. He's the kind of guy who probably would say, no, I got to go find them. Like, I'm going to, I know.
Go into an app.
Like that's not a problem for me because I'm prioritizing this.
Yeah. I don't think
price matters then.
Major League Baseball, NBA, or NHL fans generally are active enough watchers that a lot would pay for. There are obviously diehards.
Yeah.
But then if your team is really good, the more active viewers you have.
See, I think we're on the same page. It's more so about how easily it is instead of
it's a big factor.
Having to just appointment view. I thought that was interesting, but $70 for an entire season.
Yeah, if
I
you're
don't think that's bad.
if you're
I don't think that's bad
paying
at all.
for it, if you're paying for something, that means you are like
Yeah.
making a point to
Yeah.
watch
Something you're
it.
interested
And
in.
changes your perspective.
All right. We are going to go caller number 106. Because that's how many losses. No, we're not going to do
What
that.
about 1.6 and round up to 2?
Okay. Caller number 2. Unique way to get there. You get our last tickets that we're giving away. You get to go to either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday's game against the Yankees. 272-9429. Give us a call, 785-272-9429. We're going to talk with Jesse Newell coming up next here on 580 Sports Talk. Prop reaction coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. It's also Random Question Tuesday. But right now, we're going to talk all things Chiefs with one of our favorite guests. He is the best.
Yeah!
He is Jesse Newell of the Kansas City Star, covers the Kansas City Chiefs. Follow Jesse on Twitter at Jesse Newell. Jesse, my very first question I have for you, what is your favorite Taylor Swift song?
Start me off with a tough one. I'm going to go with Me, which is probably not on many people's radar, but did that one with Brendan Urie of Panic at the Disco. I'll go with that one.
Jesse, is your daughter into Taylor Swift?
A little. She's 8, so sort of, but maybe not as much as most of the Swifties out there. So I am not as well versed on Taylor Swift as many others.
What about your wife?
Yes, more so. But she's married to me, so she's actually into sports quite a bit. So she's this is kind of collision of two worlds here. But I have heard people, I won't name names or out anybody at Kansas City Star, but there was somebody next to me in the press box saying that their wife was more interested in that Chiefs game last Sunday than any other Chiefs game that he had ever covered in the press box, and was asking more questions afterwards. So that's kind of what this does. It kind of collides two worlds here a little bit.
Well, yeah, because he's now a top 5 jersey sales. The Swifties have now cheering for America's team. This is true. The Cowboys are no longer America's team. When you got the backing of the Swifties, you are now America's team.
Yeah, they are taking over the sales. I mean, good luck to them, obviously with whatever is ahead, but it makes a lot of sense from a publicity standpoint for both of them. If we're just looking at this from a very unemotional standpoint, because you have this whole group of people that are ingrained into Taylor Swift, and then you have this whole world of people that are deeply ingrained into football. And so those two worlds colliding and kind of learning about each other. I mean, the fact that we're starting off this Chiefs conversation with 3 minutes of Taylor Swift talk tells you all you need to know about how good this crossover effect is for both of these parties.
The Venn diagram before Saturday or before Sunday of Taylor Swift and the NFL,
It looked like a pair of sunglasses.
did not overlap. And now it's like a single circle because the Swifties are fully involved in this. So I had to get your take on Taylor Swift. I'm hoping you're the first one for the Star that gets the exclusive with Taylor Swift, by the way. I'm hoping they put you on that.
They can put me on all they want. I wouldn't hold their breath. She is an elusive character. And as I've done more research in the last 48 hours than I ever thought I would about Taylor Swift, I'm learning that sometimes to avoid the public and paparazzi that they carry her out in like big suitcases and stuff. So who knows? Who knows how she got into the Chiefs, into Travis Kelce's suite? That's kind of, you have to walk through a public area to get there. So it actually, I'm not reporting this, but it would not surprise me if they pulled off some major shenanigans to get her into that suite without anybody knowing, because everybody would know she would have had to walk through the concourse to get there. She couldn't have avoided, gone like an elevator on the press box. The suite that we're talking about is actually on a level that is, you take kind of a ramp up to get to, but you're right in front of a section. So you would have to walk through a bunch of normal people waiting on hot dogs in the bathroom to get to that particular suite. So who knows? Maybe they packed her up in some sort of crazy gear to get her in there safely. But once she was there, she was definitely photogenic on that Fox broadcast.
Well, and also, Jesse, you mentioned that, how big this is since we're talking about Taylor Swift and the Chiefs and it's also an indictment too on how crappy that game was with the Bears. I mean, let's also call it the way it is. We'd be talking a lot more about the game if it were a close game, but there's not much you can decipher from that. And so that'll be my first football question. What can you take away from that game?
Yeah, the Bears' problems are probably worse than we thought. And the Chiefs, you can be concerned about the Chiefs, but there's just sort of this base level of competence. And that's what they had against the Bears. And they can really expose some things. The Bears' defense, pass defense, kind of in the intermediate area in the middle, was pretty bad coming in. And the Chiefs ran. I know Greg Olson was pointing this out on the broadcast, where they kept running the same route with Rashee Rice to get him open there and get like 14 yards every single time, just an easy pitch and catch. So, it still kind of goes to show that if Andy Reid and Matt Nagy and Steve Spagnuolo have a week for you and you are struggling and you are not showing any signs of improvement, they can expose your worst weaknesses. But, there's some other promising things. We would have taken any defensive performance from the Chiefs last year and talked about it a lot if they held a team to 10 points or shut a team out in the first 3 quarters. And now it's kind of becoming old hat this year that this defense lines up and they're outgunning most of the teams they face. And this is a big thing. This is right now the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has played with the Chiefs. And you keep talking about why that is, but man, their draft class from last year, we thought it was really good last year when they won the Super Bowl. All of a sudden this year, you're looking at Trent McDuffie emerging and potentially being a Pro Bowl type candidate. You're looking at Leo Chanel, a 3rd-round draft pick, who now he's taken on a bigger role and has become a great run stopper for them and even a little bit of a pass rusher. And you add that to what they already had. Isaiah Pacheco's in there. Sky Moore has a bigger role. That draft class they had last year, sparked by them trading Tyreek Hill, all of a sudden you look up and you go, wow, they've got a bunch of these guys that are not only young, but they're going to have the next few years under cost control with the Patrick Mahomes contract on the books. And if that sort of defense matches with the sort of offense we anticipate with the Chiefs, all of a sudden you're looking at not only a Super Bowl contender, but, what we would consider to be the best team out there and potentially the team to beat in the NFL once again, even after they won the Super Bowl last year.
Jesse Newell is our guest here on 580 Sports Talk. He covers the Kansas City Chiefs for the Kansas City Star. You can go find him on Twitter at Jesse Newell. Jesse, speaking of Rashee Rice and really the young wide receiver group in general, what have you thought about the pass catchers? How would you evaluate the young pass catchers since the somewhat calamitous game back in week 1 against the Lions? How do you think they've fared the last 2 weeks?
Okay. I mean, getting better. Guys, I think it's just the reality right now with the Chiefs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes got his contract redone where he's now the highest paid quarterback on an annual basis over the next 4 years. He's getting a lot of money. He's getting whatever it is, 19, 20, 21% of the salary cap. You really can try to win in two ways. You either have the dominant quarterback who sucks up a lot of your money and you got to win with some other guys and some young guys and some drafted guys, or you have the super cheap quarterback and you go out and you load up on all the other positions. And from the Chiefs, we saw their first Super Bowl here in recent times. They had the cheap rookie quarterback on the rookie deal, and they loaded up other positions. They could go shopping spree. They could get like Sammy Watkins, who only helped them out every once in a while, but was big in the Super Bowl. You got to go out there and take the pieces you need. And then we saw last year, which was like, okay, Mahomes is taking up 17.7, 8% of the salary cap, whatever it was, and you got to go out there and you got to find some young dudes playing and find them and have to play them right away. And so right now with receivers, receivers cost a lot of money. That's just the bottom line. That they cost a lot of money if you don't develop them yourself and bring them along yourself. So I just think there's going to be growing pains. And I know Patrick has talked a little bit this year about how he didn't realize how much he missed Juju Smith-Schuster, who just always seemed to find himself in the right spot in his zone defense. Obviously, we know that Patrick missed Travis Kelce the first game, who's the ultimate zone beater, but we just keep hearing from Patrick Mahomes that they're getting a bunch of zone defenses thrown at them. And there's two obvious counters of that. You kind of play a little bit of post-snap offense where you kind of are on the same page as your quarterback and finding those spots and finding those vacancies and making connections that way. We haven't seen that perfect yet. And the other solution is to run the football right down the throats of the defenses that try to play light, back up everybody in coverage. And the Chiefs did that better last game. I think it's going to be another path for them moving forward. But we did see more Rashee Rice this past week. I think that's an encouraging sign. Part of that was just based off of attrition. Richie James is in there. Justin Ross barely played. Kadarius Toney had 2 snaps. So if you're going to limit your rotation, it makes sense to have Rashee Rice be in there more. Could he be more on the same page with Mahomes? Yeah, absolutely. We saw that one on the first possession that led to a punt where he was not in the right spot. He hesitated and he shouldn't have. But those are the sort of growing pains you're going to kind of have. And that's the growing pains you're always going to have with the Chiefs, because otherwise you're paying top of market for receiver, which is just not going to make sense when you already have that invested in your quarterback and some in your offensive line and potentially, in other positions like Travis Kelce, where that money's not going anywhere. So I think this is going to be the life cycle of Patrick Mahomes. He's going to have to bring these new receivers along. He's going to have his off-season training camp. He's going to have to get them up to speed as much as he can. And then after 4 years, 5 years, and the rookie contract's up, he's going to have to start anew with a new rookie class and new guys coming in here. And I just think that's a new reality, but it'll be better late in the season than it is now. And it's better in week 3 than it was week 1. And that's sort of what you anticipate. I think that's the trend it's going to be here the rest of the season as those guys figure out Mahomes and exactly what he's looking for out on the field.
I am of the belief, Jesse, that while it is unfortunate and frankly improper for officials to be singling out Jawaan Taylor for doing something that plenty of other players around the league are doing, and the Chiefs tried to prove that point in the game on Sunday, I also believe that if you know it's coming, you got to figure it out and you got to find a way to fix it. And if you got to move a step forward, you move a step forward. How would you break down this situation? How would you analyze what Jawaan Taylor and the Chiefs are going through? And is that a simple fix that you just have to be more on top of things if you're Taylor?
Well, I think you got to look at Andy Reid's words on this. And I think Andy Reid, where he gains the benefit of the doubt here, is he will call things as he sees them. And last week, after Jawaan Taylor's 5-penalty game against Jacksonville, he said, hey, it's on Jawaan to fix this. Basically, like, he knew it was coming. He knew the odds were going to be on him. I watched the film. He was too far back. He had those holding penalties. Like, it's on him. Chiefs are going to work with him. They're going to try to get him better. But it's on him to fix it. Well, you've seen the comments change this past week, in the last couple of days, where he said, no, now he's getting picked on. Like, he's lined up the same spot as the left tackle is on this play. And I'm watching, Patrick Mahomes says, hey, I'm watching lots of film, and he's lined up exactly where everybody else is. So I think the NFL has got to come to, there's got to be a middle ground here, because I went and looked up the stats of the NFLpenalties.com so far this year, guys. And this is what's so interesting. So after the first game, when Chris Collinsworth on the NBC broadcast called out Jawaan Taylor, said he was, back too far. Right after that week, SI reported that there was a memo sent to all 32 teams, basically say, hey, the officials are going to be looking for this, okay? And then obviously the second week, we saw them looking at Jawan Taylor and making sure that he had his penalties cleaned up, and he got those 5 penalties, which, by the way, 5 penalties was the most by any NFL player in a game since 2016. It only happened twice that a player's had 5 penalties in the last 10 years of football. I did that and looked it up by hand on NFLpenalties.com in the Jacksonville press box, but it is not a very frequent occurrence. But again, and here he comes out and says, hey, that's on Jawan. That's on Jawan. I looked it up, NFLpenalties.com. Illegal formation has been called 22 times this year, okay, in 3 weeks of the NFL, whether it's been accepted or declined, 22 times. Here's the kicker, though. Usually, with these penalties, the official does not call a number. You know what I mean? Like, okay, it was everybody, or it was somebody, somebody lined up, or it could be a receiver in the wrong spot. But a lot of times they just call it on the offense because it's an offensive penalty. There are multiple people that are not lined up in the right spot, or it's just on your unit. You know what I mean? There's been 4 times this year that an illegal formation penalty has been called on an offensive tackle. Okay, 4 times in the NFL in 3 weeks. 1 is on Jordan Mailata of the Eagles, 3 on Jawan Taylor of the Chiefs. So I want you to imagine a bar graph of the NFL right now. And I'm going to go illegal formation penalties by offensive tackle. I want you to look on the left side, and there's 30 teams in a row that have 0 under their category. Then you've got the Eagles and Jordan Mailata at 1. And then you've got Jawan Taylor of the Chiefs at 3, towering above Mailata and above the rest of the other 30 teams in the NFL, 3 higher than anybody else. It's obvious that the officials, and again, I'm not saying that they're wrong with this, but there was a memo sent out to say, do not let Jawan Taylor get away with this. And now it's swung the other direction, which basically an official is going into the game going, I was told to not let him get away with this. And by God, I'm going to call that on to show that I'm paying attention to what they're wanting me to pay attention to. So there's got to be middle ground there is what I'm saying. And that's what Andy Reid's saying. That's what Patrick Mahomes is saying. It's like, look, I get it. You wanted to make your point. You wanted to prove your point. You made this memo out there to say this about the NFL. But now, one of 2 things has to happen. Either you continue to call these on Jawan Taylor and you call 4 times as many penalties on these guys and single out numbers of these players that are tackles that are lining up in the wrong spot, or you're going to cool down on Jawan Taylor because he's tried to change and you're still throwing these penalties on him. So that's sort of where I stand. Again, I don't think we'll be talking about this in week 7, 8, 9. I think it'll cool down by then and things will kind of get sorted out. But I anticipated it being sorted out by now. And it's still, the penalties keep coming against him. And like I said, Andy Reid's tone definitely changed this week compared to the week before.
Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline is Jesse Newell, who covers the Kansas City Chiefs for the Kansas City Star, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Jesse, would it be fair to say there's not a glaring concern for the Chiefs through 3 weeks? I mean, they haven't played perfect football, A-plus football. There are things, and we've talked about them here. Wide receivers have to get on the same page with Mahomes at all times. The penalty issues with Jawan Taylor. There are some little things, but there doesn't seem to be any real glaring issue with the Chiefs. They just kind of played a solid first 3 weeks of football. And maybe you expect that from a team with this kind of championship pedigree, but is that a fair thing to say, or am I underreacting to something maybe you've seen in the first 3 weeks that is more of a red flag than I'm ready to admit?
No, I mean, I think they're a good football team. I think my biggest concern probably still offensively would just be, we talk about the chemistry with the receivers, which is going to be there, but I still think Patrick Mahomes is going to figure it out. I think Andy Reid's going to figure it out. I think they're going to find receivers that are good, and if Kelsey is healthy, that's good. I would say the run game, because again, if teams are just going to drop back, we saw last year the Chiefs way up their usage in 2 and 3 tight end sets to basically say, okay, you're going to put small bodies on the field. It's time to get physical and run downhill against you and gain 8, 9, 10 yards with this Pacheco guy, wanting to stomp his feet into the ground and, set fire on his cleats and get downhill. And I think we did not see that from the Chiefs. I think their tackles really struggled to run block. We saw some signs this past week of them being able to better do that. And you would rather be able to pass than run. There's no question about that offensively. But to be that unbalanced, I mean, the first half against Jacksonville, they had 26 play calls offensively and 2 were designed runs. I mean, that's out of whack. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a total inability to make a team defend you on that particular area. So I'd say that offensively. Defensively, I think they're playing really well. I would only caution just to say that regression could get them just a little bit because they have been so good in clutch situations. I mean, 3rd down, 4th downs, getting off the field on those money downs. It's sort of like if you're in baseball and every time you get the bases loaded, you hit one out of the park. It's like, well, man, keep winning games, keep doing great in these clutch situations. And it's like great while it lasts, but history would tell us it's not going to last. So overall, I think the Chiefs defense is playing well, and especially above what we expected them this season. I would just caution to say I think there's a little regression in there because right now they've just been completely money on 3rd and 4th down, and that's probably going to come back to earth just a little bit as the season goes on.
Jesse, we always appreciate the time. I will point out that all the Royals have to do is win 3 games, and they won't lose 107 games. And I think you told us the last time we asked you if they were going to lose 107 games and be the worst team in Royals history. You said it was almost a certainty. But look at those plucky Royals, huh? How about them, Jesse?
Plucky. Plucky is the right way to say it. That's the right adjective for sure.
Jesse, we appreciate the time. Have yourself a great week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Jesse Newell of the Kansas City Star. Jesse was first like, no, they're not going to lose 107. He was, oh, they are. And now they might not. This is great. Coming up, we got a lot more, including Random Question Tuesday. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk coming your way on this Tuesday. Jake Lamont, Brandon Dorzinski, Dan Lucero with you. Only a couple more hours as we will hand it off to the Royals Radio Network at 5 o'clock today and tomorrow. Day game on Thursday. The Royals take on the Detroit Tigers. The Royals sweep the Tigers. They will not. The most that they will have would be 105 losses.
Yep.
They just need 2 wins to not be the single worst team in Royals history. 2 of the next 6. Just go 1-3 against Detroit and 1-3 against the Yankees, and you will have the worst record in Royals history, but it will be tied. They've won 6 in a row. I did not think they would win 6 in a row all year.
They've already done it.
Yeah, they've done it before.
Yeah, they had a 7-game winning streak.
When?
End of July, start of August.
Months ago.
Did they really?
Yes.
That just goes to show you my lack of who cares about the Royals. They had a 7-game winning streak?
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember
they
they
really?
swept the Mets.
Did they really?
Yes. Why do you think I'm making this up? They swept
To
Minnesota.
pull one over on me because that's what you guys would try to do.
No, that's what you would try to do.
No.
Remember when Bobby Witt Jr. hit the walk-off grand slam against Minnesota?
Yes, I do
Okay.
remember that.
That kicked off the streak. They swept Minnesota. It was the final weekend of July. Then they swept the Mets. That was all at home, all at the K. They won 6 straight at home. Then they won their first game in Philadelphia in Friday, August 4th to get to 7 in a row.
You said the magic word.
What was that?
End of July.
Uh-huh.
What was happening at the end of July?
I don't know, man.
Training camp.
Chiefs training camp. I was done with the Royals.
Oh.
Chiefs training camp. Man, I got to know what's going down with who's reporting to training camp. I need to, what's the latest on Chris Young? I don't care about a 95 loss team at the time.
I can walk and chew gum. I can eat.
Damn.
I can eat
No.
beer. I can drink beer and eat tacos.
No.
And I can follow 2 different sports
No,
events.
my care factor for the Royals is zip. When you're that bad and you're hovering around the A's, no, you don't get the benefit of, you don't get me to care about you. No.
It's one thing to care. It's
Yeah.
another thing to like general awareness
No.
is still possible.
I totally forgot that they won 7 in a row. I'm not gonna lie. Like completely forgot that they won 7 in a row.
I can tell.
Yeah, I'm not. Nope, not there. So, but they're playing tonight. Will you watch a single pitch?
No.
Yeah, probably not. No.
No, the answer is no.
I'm barely watching my own team now.
Are they officially out of it?
No, we're still in the playoff picture.
Like, are you in the playoffs?
Yeah, third wild card right now. Half a game behind the Diamondbacks for first wild card.
And you're not even interested? Man, baseball. Whoa.
Well, they also were playing their worst baseball since April for about 3 weeks there. That wasn't especially fun.
Rockies are 1 loss away from 100. They'll probably get there today because they play a doubleheader and it's against the Dodgers. So they are winning right now, though. 3-0 in the 4th.
Yeah, the Cubs are currently the third wild card. Tied for wild card number 2. 1 game up on the Marlins.
Look at that. And you're it's kind of just whatever.
No, I mean I've been watching.
Okay.
I follow every single day. I have been watching.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have been watching regularly, but not always. I will put it that way.
Okay.
I also have been very mad at the Cubs broadcast team this year. So it's harder to watch.
I think if you're a Cubs fan, you almost want that third wild card because then you'd play Milwaukee in round 1, and those games are always Cubs home games up there.
Yeah, that's
American Family Field or whatever they're calling it these days.
That's true. I don't really want to play the Dodgers or the Braves. I know that for sure.
You'd have to play one of them if you won.
Yeah, that's true.
But then you won a series.
Yeah. Now, I mean, this year for me has just been, hey, we made it to the playoffs. That's sick. Like that. This team was not supposed to be a playoff team this year. And they already cashed in my over 76.5 wins bet. So
Nice.
we're feeling good.
There we go. Okay.
So yeah, you get to the playoffs. You were a buyer at the trade deadline and you made the playoffs somehow. That's a win for me.
I'm with you.
So
Good
yeah,
for you.
I'm happy with that.
Hey, look
Now,
at that. Playoff
If they
baseball.
don't make it to the playoffs, that will be disappointing.
Yeah, because they should have made it in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Grinky going tonight, though. Good for Grinky. Some cat named Reese Olson for the Tigers.
Reese Olson for like 3 weeks was my number one starter on my MLB The Show Diamond Dynasty team. He's killing it. He could throw like 101 with the four-seamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. Big time.
You big MLB The Show guy?
Play it every day. Every day.
Wow, all three of us. That's awesome.
Every day. Wouldn't miss it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't miss it.
I know you and Bradley J were talking about playing Madden earlier in
Yep.
the office. I
He
know
wants me to play Madden.
he wants friends to hang out with.
No,
What's wrong with that?
Here's the problem. No, I have no problem. I would rather go have a beer with Bradley J, which we have done several times. I haven't played Madden in 10 years. I don't even know the buttons. It would not be fun.
It's like riding a bike.
No, I've heard it. No, I don't think so.
You can find out which buttons to hit.
I'm going to be looking down at the buttons.
I think there's a way, a lot of games you can play like 2-button style. Like,
Yeah.
the computer will decide what special move to make if you hit like the square button.
Is the PS5 controller different
Than any of the other PlayStation controllers? No.
Okay,
It
that
just-
helps.
yeah.
That helps. Because the last PlayStation that I truly played, PS2.
Yeah, buttons are all same buttons, same place. You just hold it differently. Yeah.
It's a little bulkier.
I got okay hands. I mean, I don't got Joe Burrow hands, so I'll be able to. I'll make it work.
What's the opposite of Joe Burrow hands?
Kawhi Leonard.
Johnny
hands.
Bench hands.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard hands.
Okay, I'm old and watched. I made the reference to a 1970s baseball player.
All right. Well, I was okay.
For football,
You ever seen a picture of Johnny Bench like holding 5 baseballs?
Yeah, like between each finger. Yeah, it's wild.
I was
Kawhi Leonard's are just stupid big.
Yeah, I was looking for like football for the direct comparison.
I have no idea.
I can tell you. Apparently, Mark Sanchez has gigantic hands.
I'm sorry. There's a picture of Johnny Bench holding 7 baseballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sizable. Okay. Jim Druckenmiller, 11.25 inches.
Mitts.
Huge. If only that could have helped him play football better. Dax are pretty big, almost 11. Oh, see, direct correlation, hand size and talent. Number 3, Cody Kessler.
Joe Burrow. If it's raining, bet the under.
Now I see a picture of former Astros pitcher J.R. Richard holding 8 baseballs in one hand.
Dan is now in a wormhole to see who can.
J.R.
8
Richard,
baseballs. That's ridiculous.
J.R. Richard and Jim Bibby could each hold 8 baseballs in one hand.
I can't do that.
No chance.
Not only are my hands not especially big, I also have skinny hands. Like, I don't have a whole lot of width on my fingers. There's not a lot of surface area.
This has been hand talking.
Yeah, I would get negative marks, I think, if I went to the combine, my hand measurement.
Well, let's take a. I want to go to something that I kind of briefly mentioned in the start of the 2:00 hour.
David Garrard's hands, 10.5 inches.
I think I remember.
Same with
him.
Jordan Love.
I think I remember he had big hands. Yeah. Google Kawhi Leonard's hands. Like, we know 11 is the biggest for football.
Yeah, but how many
11.25.
baseballs can Kawhi Leonard hold?
I don't know. Maybe we find out.
You can only hold 1 basketball.
Kawhi's hands are 9.75 inches in length, 11.25 in width. So yeah, him and Jim Druckenmiller have the exact same hand size.
Big ol'.
Maybe he should have played ball. His
Yeah.
hand's big as hell.
Yeah. Should have played basketball. He could palm that thing. Chiefs take on the Jets this week, which means that
We all get to watch Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, not a good quarterback. Therefore, bet the under on Zach Wilson yardage because the Chiefs do a terrific job of stopping bad quarterbacks.
It's incredible how bad he is. I mean, this was the number 2 overall pick
Yeah.
in the draft. And like, I watched him in college. He was good. Like, this wasn't like a Daniel Jones kind of thing or a Mitchell Trubisky kind of thing where it's like, what do you see? Like, I could see it with Zach Wilson in college. I really genuinely could. And he looks like he has about as much confidence under center and of an NFL offense as any of us would. Like if Brett Veach called us tomorrow and said, hey, you're running the first team offensive practice tomorrow, we would be as confident doing that as Zach Wilson looks in an actual NFL game.
Honestly, if I was the Jets, I think I'd rather have Wilson be more blindly confident than whatever he is now.
Gun shy. That's all. One word is it's gun shy. It's afraid to make a mistake. That's it. That's what Justin Fields has. They can't just let it rip, man. Justin Fields said that he's just gonna, let his natural ability take over, right?
Well, he's also an idiot for saying that.
Just grip it and rip it, man. Overthinking it right now. If it's there, throw it. Like he's Maverick in Top Gun. You got a confidence issue right now, man. He cannot let it go. All I can think about is what I don't know is call signal Viper. Call signal Viper's like, you got a confidence issue, son. That's what Zach Wilson has. You don't become the number 2 quarterback just because you were lucky. That's not how it works. Every time he drops back, you can see him hesitate. Same thing with Justin Fields. But you take on the Jets. Then you take on Minnesota. Now, that will be a fun matchup between the secondary and Kirk Cousins, because they're throwing it and they got the best receiver in the country in Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson versus Trent McDuffie. Sign me up for that. Looking forward to that. But the Vikings play no defense. Absolutely none. And they don't have an O-line. Then you got the Broncos, Chargers, and the Broncos. Like, at the beginning of this year, if you would have told me, like, this was going to be the stretch, the Jets, we were all thinking, man, that's going to be
we're finally going to get Rodgers and Mahomes.
I did say, guys, it hasn't happened yet. And then, of course, let's see, they're not going to face each other. The only way that they're going to face each other, Rodgers plays next year's in the playoffs.
Yeah, because, well, obviously...
they're playing each other this year.
Yes, it's the divisional. Chiefs play the AFC East this year, which means they won't next year.
And they're not going to win.
And they're not going to win the division.
So they're not going to play them then. Like, the only way would be in the playoffs next year. And then I don't know if far Jet quarterback, former power. I don't know if Rodgers will still be playing in 26. You think he will?
Well, it'd be 25.
Or 25, yeah.
I mean, I kind of doubt it.
So 24,
I have some
guys.
I have some
24, 25.
No,
he'll play. He'll play
next.
He'll come back. Like he's not. That wasn't the last.
No.
But is he going to play beyond the comeback season? That's a great question, and I have my doubts.
Not well.
But first it was like the Jets. Okay, that's going to be a good game, and then Minnesota. Wow, that Minnesota went to the playoffs last year, man. Then the Broncos. That was still a little to be determined, right? And then you got the Chargers. Mike Williams going out. That hurts them. They now have one wide receiver. Has Quentin Johnston done anything for them? He's been kind of a no-show. Obviously, if he would have been something special, it would have been a little bit more noteworthy. But
well, if you Google Quentin Johnston, the only thing that comes up is that his teammate is injured. So 8 targets,
your answer.
5 receptions,
there's your answer.
26 yards.
The Chargers game now looks a lot less interesting. And then you've got the Broncos. You asked the question, should the Chiefs be 7-1 going into the game against the Dolphins? If they're not 7-1, then they had an epic meltdown in a game. The only game that I would say is a close one would be the Chargers, just because the Chargers always play the Chiefs well.
Yeah, they're the worst matchup for the Chiefs.
They always play the Chiefs well.
Or if not the worst matchup, they just always find a way to match up well in a one-game sample with the Chiefs. But yeah, I mean, the Jets are bad. Their offense is putrid. The Vikings aren't any good. Their defense got worse, which is unthinkable. The Broncos are awful. I mean, it is a really favorable schedule. The back half, it's the opposite of last year, where
Correct.
all the tough games came in the first 8 weeks, or most of the tough games, and then, except for the Bengals game, I guess. And then in the back half, it was pretty easy. This year, start of November onward is when the real intrigue begins. You get Dolphins in Germany, Eagles at home.
You got a bye week between that, which
is good.
Yeah.
But
But the Eagles also have a bye week that same time.
Yeah. The Chiefs will be probably favored by several points against the Packers at Lambeau, but Green Bay is better than even I thought might be.
Yep.
The Bills are going to be tough. The Pats in Foxborough, their offense is bad. Mac Jones is bad, but that's still a Belichick defense. That's going to be tough. Bengals by December 31st, who knows what they'll look like. And then another game against the Chargers on the road in LA, which will effectively be a home game. But that is a legitimately intriguing schedule on the back half. Now, the Chiefs should be favored in every one of those games because they are either at home against a great team or they're just the better team.
Mm-hmm.
And getting the Bills at home, getting the Eagles at home, the Dolphins doesn't really count since that's overseas. That's pretty much a wash there. The Bengals at home, like that, all of those are great, very favorable.
Are the Bengals on the road?
No.
Huh.
No, Bengals at Chiefs.
Bengals at Chiefs. Man,
So they get the Eagles, the Bills, and the Bengals all at home.
I thought one of them was on the road, but
So yeah, it shakes out pretty well in terms of the home road split. But yeah, I mean, between now and that game against the Dolphins, which is going to have massive implications, assuming no one has a catastrophic injury, I think what would the record be at that point? 7-1?
7-1.
If they take care of business these next 5, they'd be 7-1 going to Frankfurt.
I wouldn't be surprised to see it be 6-2, though. I mean, it's the NFL. It's what I said yesterday when we were predicting the Monday Night Football games. Like, all the signs pointed to the Rams should beat the Bengals. And in that first half, I had to watch a condensed version of the game. I couldn't watch it live. Like,
you didn't miss anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, Burrow is not Joe Burrow. He's clearly dinged up.
He's got nothing on those throws,
Yep.
man. It was hard to watch him be that diminished and that exposed to injury. Because however you feel about Joe Burrow and the Bengals, if you're a Chiefs fan, you probably don't like the Bengals very much, and that's totally understandable. It's difficult to watch a guy who's obviously limited by injury.
He was captain check down yesterday.
That was all they could do is throw these little puff balls to the sideline and say, "Hey, Jamar, go make something happen after the catch." And Jamar Chase can make things happen after the catch. That functioned for their offense. And then defensively, they just beat up that paper mache offensive line for the Rams.
So if he can get healthier over time, that will be a tough game there too. But yeah, the Chiefs should be in pretty good shape getting into that tough part of the schedule. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was 6-2. My point was going to be, all the signs last night pointed to the Rams should have beaten the Bengals. Burrow's hurt. He's clearly not himself. Rams are coming off of a big win. They've got some, play. Matt Stafford is on a bit of a comeback tear, or was. Puka Nacua is a legit dude. And then the Bengals won, despite their quarterback being about 40% of his normal self. I would imagine, though, to be fair, and just while we're talking about Joe Burrow, if you're trying to plant your foot and generate power with your lower body into a throw and your calf hurts or is torn or strained or whatever, or just not right, yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to throw either. If I can understand why that's tough. But
the biggest worry about him is his Achilles.
Oh, no, it has to be. But that's the tough spot they're in. If you're the Chiefs, you're not going to sit Patrick Mahomes, like, just as a precaution, obviously, because look who he is. But, like, if worst came to worst and you had to, like, you can live for a week with Blaine Gabbert. Like, you can cobble it together and make a crafty game plan and have a chance.
It also depends on the opponent.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, if we're talking about against the Bills, probably
not. But
if we're talking against the Broncos,
a league average team or below, sure.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you build a game plan around Jake Browning, around his skill set to try to win a game? Nah, man.
What even is it?
Nah, like handoff?
Yeah.
Slant. Everybody, we're running quad slants. Everybody on both sides. Slant in.
Pick a guy.
Yeah.
Throw it. Jake Browning.
Yeah, like that. He wasn't even the best Jake to play quarterback at Washington in the last 10 years. That belongs to Eason, who also sucked in the NFL.
Yeah,
he got one start. They're like, nah, we're good. Sorry, pal. We're done.
Yeah, Jake Eason was really bad.
He was a hell of a player at Washington, though.
Yeah.
What about Jake Locker? He's all right.
Okay.
Jake Locker.
Not even the best Jake to play quarterback at Washington in the last 15 years.
When you said Eason, I was like, I'm pretty sure his name was Jake Locker.
No, he was just a little over a decade ago. But yeah, Locker was there too.
I do wonder how good Jake Locker would have been if he liked football.
How many years was he in the NFL? It was like
5.
I think
3
it
or
was,
4.
I think it was 3.
I think it was only like 3.
He
should have played
4.
baseball. He was drafted. He got drafted in baseball, and I think he always liked that more than he liked
never
football.
made it out of his rookie contract. 4 years.
Yeah, he just felt like, hey man, I'm not really about this.
What's Jake Locker doing nowadays?
That is the one thing I do always find amazing. If he is the co-owner of a fitness center and is currently taking courses in theology, or at least in 2018, he was taking courses in theology. I would assume he has he's going to a seminary. I don't know. Maybe he's preaching somewhere.
Justin Fields be 4 years in the league and be out.
No, someone will pick him
Too
up.
good an athlete.
Yeah, he's too athletic. Because Locker, when he got to the league, it was clear he just wasn't a pro quarterback. Like he got benched for Charlie Whitehurst and Zach Mettenberger.
Zach, that's Ellis. That's
LSU.
Hutch Juco or Butler?
Butler, I think.
Butler. That's Butler legend Zach Mettenberger.
Yeah, Buco. Yeah, like that. He just wasn't a pro player. Fields is such a great athlete. Someone will keep him around. Now, it also depends. Is he going to be willing to be like gadget play guy or just move to running back? Or is he going to say, no, I'm a quarterback? Because if he does the Tebow and says, no, I'm a quarterback, that's all I'm going to do, then yeah, he's got just a couple years left and he's going to be gone.
Somebody's going to look at him and see Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor ended up with a decent career.
Yeah, he played a few years as a not quarterback.
Yeah.
Logan Thomas, another guy.
Hey, hold on
swallowed his pride and has been in the league close to a decade.
If he didn't have 400 concussions, he'd be like a top 10-ish tight end. He's a good player.
I think Pryor, did he not have 1,000-yard receiving season
He
one
did
year?
not have 1,000-yard receiving.
Yes, he did.
Did he really?
2016 with Cleveland.
Boom.
He started 15 games for that team. He had 77 catches.
I told you. Dan, I want an apology.
I apologize. What?
Nah, man, it's like I would not have
thought that was the case. I did.
That's not a real team, the 2016 Cleveland Browns. That's not real.
All
None
right.
of these stats are real.
All right. So
Cody Kessler allegedly threw him all those passes.
Dude,
that's not true.
they had 6 quarterbacks play for them that year. 6.
And
if you count Terrell Pryor.
Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind. So 5. Because Pryor threw 9 passes, but he was a wide receiver.
Dan, when I said he had 107, like it was 7 yards over 1,000 yards. So it's not like, So there you go, Dan, for the next time that you
in my face.
Hey, no, for your immaculate grid.
Yes, 1,000-yard Brown receiver. I've been going with Paul Warfield all this time.
Now you can go.
Not Paul Warfield. He's my Dolphins 1,000-yard receiver guy.
Jarvis Landry. Or
did Bad Moon ever do it with the Browns?
I don't know, but yeah, 1,000. I thought that was because I was like, I remember seeing that stat going, that is ridiculous. I remember that, and he had the longest run. He had the longest
Andre
run
Rison.
1 year.
Bad Moon.
Bad Moon Rising.
Yeah.
Yes.
Andre Bad Moon.
Hey, that's Chiefs legend,
Rising.
Andre Rison, by the way.
When we get done with football season around here, like sometimes the pickings are slim. We're just gonna have to like do the immaculate grid for the day live on the show. It's gonna be a segment every day.
Royals off day in early June.
Just all the grids. We'll do the soccer grid. Hell, we'll do them all.
I will not help.
That'd be a great way to give away tickets. Like if you can name someone who played for AS Roma and Man City, call in. First one to give us a correct answer gets
You won't even be able to
tickets.
Google that.
And Jekko. Boom. Got one.
You won't even be able to. Coming up next, we got Random Question Tuesday here on 580 Sports Talk. Tuesday. Brandon, you didn't think I'd get one of these in, but I'm going to. You know what I'm going with, do you?
I don't.
You have no idea.
I mean, you are right. I did not know you could get one of these in because I don't know what you're talking about. So you are correct.
I got to get in me a Ryder Cup question. Ryder Cup this weekend. You didn't think
I didn't.
Let's go.
Let's do this.
No, I can't. I cannot say I did not know it was this week because I walked into Jake's office yesterday and he went, Ryder Cup this weekend.
All righty. Not because the Ryder Cup is not a, mainstream event. It's not. I mean,
Yeah,
golf,
it's no Solheim Cup.
By the way, Team USA.
Hey, they tied. It's not like they were bad.
Yeah,
They got needed to get that extra half a point.
That's tough.
I think that's whack. I think you have to play a tiebreaker. I don't think the tie goes to last year's champ. I think that's whack. Play a tiebreaker.
That's what the Cubs and White Sox do with the Crosstown Cup. If they go 2-2 when they play each other every year, the team that won last year keeps
I think
it.
that's how the Commander-in-Chief's trophy works too.
So my random question is, what foreign, because this is on foreign soil, this is in France. What foreign sporting event that's not a mainstream, like you can't say I want to go to the World Cup if it's over there. That's mainstream. Everybody wants to do that. But what is a sporting event, specific sporting event that you would want to go? Like, I would love to go to the Ryder Cup like tomorrow. Like, that'd be awesome. I would want to go to the Ryder Cup in Europe, not on home soil. I would want to go to Europe, like go to Italy or go to France. I think that'd be so awesome.
Now, I would rather go in the United States so you could be real belligerent and chant USA and, well, Ian Poulter doesn't play anymore, but make people like him mad at you, grumbling about the ugly Americans.
Like,
Get Tyrrell Hatton to throw a putter at me.
What sporting event that's kind of not, that you would want to do or go to?
I got one for you.
Okay.
Coming up just a few days from now.
Okay.
At the Melbourne Cricket Ground, the Collingwood Magpies and Brownlow Award winner Lachie Neale and the Brisbane Lions head-to-head the AFL Grand Final.
So it'd be the championship
of the AFL.
The Australian Aussie Rules Football League.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
I'd say either Champions League final or the Monaco Grand Prix, because if I got to go to that would mean I had lots of money.
Well, you don't have lots. You just get to go. Like, I'll get you a free.
You don't need to tell me I don't have lots of money.
No, like you don't get it. Like,
you're a guest of someone with money.
Yeah.
Either way, I get to feel like I have money.
Yeah.
If I'm at the Monaco Grand Prix,
that's a good one. I never thought of that one.
Like I could care less about like the racing aspect of it. Like I don't think F1 racing is particularly exciting. It sounds like the same person wins every week. And I honestly think people that are claiming to like it are doing a bit. Like they like Drive to Survive and they're like, I'm going to get into F1. And now they're like stuck. They have to keep pretending they like it. Nobody likes that. Come on. The Verstappen wins every week. There's no drama. It's boring.
Well, a lot of it is just how much money do you have?
You can't possibly be enjoying this. But being there in person with all the hoi polloi, that'd be cool.
Live racing is cool, though. I will say
that.
Yeah,
no, I enjoy
live
a good
racing
race.
is cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to think because like Olympics is too mainstream. I figure.
Yeah, because I love. Who wouldn't want to go to the Olympics?
No, that's fine.
Like not everybody's wanting to go. Like I ain't going to Brisbane versus hoi polloi or whatever.
Collingwood.
Yeah.
Lions versus magpies. Can you imagine a lion fighting a magpie? Lion wins every single time.
Yeah.
What's a magpie?
That's a bird. It's like a crow.
Okay. Well,
but there's also a team that is the Crows.
Got a couple of votes in the YouTube comments. Clayton and Christopher both shouting out the Pro Darts Championship.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Michael Van Gerwen. Pure darts.
Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Barbecue sauce.
What? Is that what you say when you hit a bullseye?
That's what
Ted Lasso
does. Barbecue sauce.
I got it, Jay.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Never seen a single second of Ted Lasso.
I really liked it.
Yeah, good show. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
My wife and I liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
Shout out to darts. For me, last night, Abby and it was Abby's birthday, and one of her birthday wishes was that we would watch a movie together. So we watched the movie Bottoms. Came out a few months ago. It's a comedy, insanely raunchy.
Marshawn Lynch.
Yes. Then he is a
Bottoms?
star in it. Yeah, it's like
Don't ask us to explain the title. I'm not sure we can.
yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like a satire of
It's a-
teen coming of age movies.
It's a teen
Gotcha.
sex comedy. Yes.
Yeah, with extremely raunchy. But Marshawn Lynch is in it. He is a teacher who's going through a divorce, and he's unbelievable. He's so good.
Marshawn's just hilarious.
So my question, in recent vintage, who is the funniest athlete? So either active or maybe recently retired, like Marshawn Lynch. Who is the
Peyton
funniest
had a
athlete?
good run there for a while. Peyton Manning did. He really did.
Yeah.
It's Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn's hysterical.
Did you see the video of him on Thursday Night Football a couple weeks ago hanging out with the Amish?
Yes, that was
Dropped
great.
25 bands on this?
Did you ever see he had his own web series on Facebook Watch?
Yeah.
Where he sat there and watched like Red Panda do her thing.
He was amazed
He didn't
at what
understand.
she
He's
was
like,
able to do.
So you throw bowls
And you catch them?
and
Oh man, hilarious.
no, the bit he did with playing video games
Gronk?
with Gronk
Yeah.
and with Conan O'Brien. All time great great TV bit. No,
I'm a button masher.
you blew a bubble, she blew a bee.
Lick the gun.
Lick the gun, lick the gun, lick the gun.
Lick the gun. No, he's hysterical.
Yeah.
Peyton's up there though. Peyton's pretty good.
I think Peyton's pretty funny. The ability to laugh at yourself is
Yeah.
very, very central to the Manning
The autograph
ethos.
winner's like, hey, can you sign my bread? Can you sign my bread? It's like, yes.
There's a really, really old one when flip phones were still a thing. It was a Sprint commercial. And he has a fake mustache on wearing his jersey. And he starts talking about how you can watch videos of NFL players on your flip
Football
phone.
on your phone. Yeah.
Oh, even before that, he
Even
goes,
before that?
if you wanted to watch your favorite quarterback, might play for Indianapolis.
6'4",
6'4",
laser,
laser,
rocket
rocket
arm.
arm. Yeah. Well, yeah, the football on your phone music video is one of the funniest
Yeah.
things I've ever seen. That's so funny.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to my mind was Peyton.
What would Alexander Graham Bell think if he saw you watching football on your phone? Who cares? Dude's dead.
That was the Eli one.
That was Eli with the punchline. Yeah.
Non-football category, former Major League pitcher Brandon McCarthy is one of the funnier. So he finished his career with 69 wins and a 4.20 earned run average. So his Twitter bio says he had the nicest career in Major League history.
That's pretty funny.
My random question today, inspired by you mentioning the Immaculate Grid in the last segment. What is something, and maybe the Immaculate Grid is your answer to this, but what is something you do every day? Part of your, not like shower or eat dinner, like I'm not interested in that. Like, is there something that you read or like a puzzle that you do? What is something that you do that is something that is every day?
Contemplate purpose.
Went dark there. I kind of thought you might.
Such a Brendan answer.
It's such a Brendan answer. No, my wife and I race every day doing the Wordle.
You race?
Yes.
Interesting.
Who gets done the fastest?
See, my dad and I just try to see who gets it done the fewest. The
Yeah.
fewest guesses.
No, because then you get it. One, there's no cheating because you have to do it. We sit right next to each other
Yeah.
and you do it. So there's no cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dan and his dad probably can't do that.
No, we're not.
No, I know, but that's what we do. We go for speed
Mhm.
and just to see, and then that way you always have a winner. There's no ties. Like, oh, I got it in 4 and my wife got it in 4. No,
Okay, so speed. Is
Speed.
what matters. Okay.
and we're like Lightning McQueen.
No,
I am speed.
Now, my dad and I send each other our Wordle and baseball Immaculate Grid responses, and then my best friend from back home, Kyle, and we do the football grid, and we compete. See who gets the lowest rarity score, and Kyle beats me every day. He knows his stuff.
That's
What being a lifelong season ticket holder to an NFL team will do.
we do Wordle. We race that, and then we just try to survive.
Yeah.
And you try to survive. Try to survive.
Just get by.
Just find a way to survive. Although it's getting easier, the kids are getting older.
And I'm trying to think. During the summer, I didn't have like games to prep for, or like show prep was a lot easier because we were just talking about the Royals. I did play at least like an hour to 90 minutes of MLB The Show or some video game every night. Like, all right, Abby's going to bed. I don't have a lot of work to do. It's 11 o'clock. I'm going to turn on the Nintendo. Currently, it's watch Seinfeld. Like every night, I know.
Wait, I thought you hated Seinfeld.
No, I enjoy Seinfeld a lot.
I think Seinfeld's overrated. Maybe that's what you're thinking.
I don't know. I love Seinfeld.
Is Fulton anti-Seinfeld?
I think he was a neutral.
No, I would put
love Seinfeld.
I'd put Seinfeld probably in the running for one of my top 5 sitcoms. Not number 1, but in my top 5 probably. Yeah, it's on like 3 nights a week on TV Land, and every single day it's on at 1 a.m. on Fox 4 Kansas City. So when it's 1 o'clock, I say, okay, well, I'm done watching Scott Van Pelt for the night. Let's flip over to Fox 4 and watch 30 minutes of Seinfeld.
Fantastic show. Love Seinfeld. Love it.
The one that I saw one of the ones I saw last night was when Kramer moves to Florida. Great episode.
And I liked when we moved to Vegas.
The part where Jerry says, my dad cares more about the deal than the gift itself. I was like, oh man, I bet that's relatable for a lot of people with their parents. That really resonates.
Coming up next, we'll have another version of Overreaction, Proper Reaction here on 580 Sports Talk. Overreaction, proper reaction. The Bengals' worries are now over, and they're just like another 1-2 team.
That is an overreaction because their biggest worry is the health of their quarterback, and I don't think he's close to healthy. I know they said he wasn't 100% yesterday. He barely looked 75%. And I don't know that that's an injury that's going to get a lot better if he's going to keep playing on it. So if that's what Joe Burrow is, that is a remarkably juiceless offense. And I don't think you can be a juiceless offense and keep up with the big dogs in the AFC.
So give me, if that's how they are.
It doesn't mean I don't think they can be a good team.
No, I know. So give me project the record. their offense does add a little, doesn't have doesn't have as much bite. So what do you say? Like 9-7, 10-7,
9-8, 10-7 at best. Yeah, they feel about 10-7 at best to me. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's an overreaction just because I don't think it's like that game would not give me a whole lot of confidence if I was the Bengals that things are fixed.
So they're still in worry territory.
Yeah, I would say they're still in the danger zone. Okay. I mean, you just need Burrow to be now. Let's say they win another two in a row. They get to 3-2, and then Burrow is healthy.
Mm-hmm. Their schedule's pretty easy in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, then all of a sudden you're feeling a whole lot better.
Like I think they go Titans and then some other bad team and then another bad team, I believe. Yeah, they go Titans, Cardinals, their next two, and then it gets difficult. Then you go Seahawks, the Bengals are going to play the Bengals, guys. Seahawks, 49ers, Bills. Those are their next three.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's not an easy schedule
they got
down the road.
2 cakes and Titans and Cardinals, and then it gets very difficult.
Yeah, they just need Burrow to get healthy. But as long as he is not 100%, then no, I don't think you can take them out of that zone. Overreaction or proper reaction? Half of the best 4 teams in the Big 12. So the best 4 teams in the Big 12, 2 of them reside less than an hour from where we sit right now.
That's proper reaction. I think to me, the 4 best teams right now in the Big 12 are KU in no particular order. Sure. I mean, if you want me to put them in order, here, I'll put them in order.
Okay.
Texas, Oklahoma, K-State, and KU. I think that those are your 4 best teams in the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, I think you can very credibly make that argument. I think the only other team you could really argue for right now is probably TCU has responded well to falling on their face in front of the entire country in their opener against Colorado.
That was a bad first impression this year.
Yeah, they made a really bad first impression. They've been pretty excellent since then. They've gotten it right. They've gotten it together. That loss to Coach Prime has proven to be a wake-up call. And I still think TCU's got a pretty good team, but they're not 4-0 and Kansas is. So, yeah, I think right now as it stands, certainly Texas and Oklahoma seem to be leagues ahead of everyone else. Kansas State's the defending champ. Their only loss, a 3-point road loss to a unbeaten SEC team. And, yeah, KU right there at 4-0. I'll listen to that argument right now. Absolutely,
I don't even think it's you're correct.
If you wanted another tiebreaker too, which quarterback you taking, Jalen Daniels or Chandler Morris?
Yeah, I'm taking Jalen Daniels.
I would too.
I mean, Morris has played better again. Like TCU is just so hard to throw out the one big data point that everybody saw. If that game hadn't happened and they were sitting here, let's say they played, directional tech and they'd won that game and they were 4-0 and had played the exact same, the other 3 games. You just throw out the Colorado game and replace it with, directional vocational school. Then we probably would rank TCU ahead of KU just maybe based on last year. Yeah. And I'm not sure how fair even that would be. So,
I really do think KU has a legitimate chance of finishing 8-4, if not better.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think now it's not, because I said going into this year, winning record. Be 7-6. You haven't had a winning record, since 2008. Get a winning record. To me, that's with Oklahoma State playing the way they are, with Iowa State playing the way they are, you still get Cincinnati. That's 3 wins right there. That's 7 right there.
Yeah.
You just got to find a way to beat K-State and Oklahoma State. I believe they play Oklahoma State. Am I not?
We do play Oklahoma State.
Am I mixing up?
In this role, I shouldn't say we, but KU does play Oklahoma State, yes. At Oklahoma State on October 14th.
Yeah, because Cincinnati, Iowa State. I mean, there's a legit chance you should go 8. You should have 8 wins this year. And then you got to find a way to beat either Texas, Oklahoma, or Kansas State. There you go.
Overreaction or proper reaction? The best rookie quarterback in the NFL this year is CJ Stroud.
That's a proper reaction right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty easy sell for that one, honestly. I mean, Young has been banged up, and I don't think I even gave enough credit to how bad that offensive line is, because it's really bad. I think Richardson's had his moments where he's looked good. I mean, he's an incredible athlete, obviously, and he's had a couple nice throws in the 2 games he's been able to play in, and Bryce has been hurt too. But yeah, I mean, look at the numbers. 78 of 121, 906 yards, 4 TDs, no picks. I mean, that's remarkable. They've actually gotten him to run a little bit too, which he never did in college. He's not a runner, but he's got 35 yards on the ground so far. I mean, I think that's an easy sell for me. He looks good.
No, all the other rookie quarterbacks, not great.
My guy Tank Dell too, also off to a hot start for Houston.
From the text line, I don't know. You've got someone on the text line that says overreaction KU is yet to been proven. To me, they're 4-0 and they beat a BYU team that was undefeated at the time. I think KU's legit. I really do. Plus, no one has slowed their offense in 2 years now.
I guess my question is, what is proven? Because if your standard for that is until you beat
a top 3 team,
either a majority or at least one of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas State, okay, then, fine.
Yeah, well, then the only team that is proven in the Big 12 by that standard, by that kind of standard, would be Texas, because they beat Alabama. Nobody else, like Oklahoma's not proven. They haven't played anybody. Nobody plays anybody in the first 4 weeks, typically. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah,
teams go out of their way.
If that's how you feel about it, then if that's your standard, fine. But what has anyone else, like Oklahoma beat a Cincinnati team with no quarterback. They beat an awful Tulsa program.
They beat SMU.
Arkansas State, who is miserable.
Yeah, so are they proven?
Butch Jones cried.
He did.
He did.
He did cry. He had to have a player. He had to have a 20-year-old console him.
Yeah.
He's
making a grown man cry means you probably have a pretty good football team.
Yeah. Also, from the text line, Brennan in flux. Seinfeld is not funny. A real show is Frasier.
No, that's great. I do think Seinfeld is funny. But yes,
you like Seinfeld, but you also really like Frasier.
Frasier is an elite program, yes.
Coming
top
up,
2, it ain't 2.
We'll get to our 580 Sports headlines. What is wrong with you and Michael Swain before we hand it off to the Royals? 580 Sports Talk, hour number 3 on this Tuesday. Jake LeBon, Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski with you. 1 hour left because the Royals taking on the Detroit Tigers. Zach Greinke. Is Zach Greinke making his final start as a major league pitcher?
Well, there are 6 games left. After today, there'll be 5 games left, which means he will be the scheduled starter on Sunday.
You think he plays on Sunday?
Absolutely. They're going to send him out one more time. Absolutely. And I hope he gets to bat. That'd be cool. Should let him hit.
Yeah, use the Ohtani rule.
Yeah.
The DH and pitcher.
If this is going to be it for Greinke, like, let him play shortstop. Like,
yeah, what does it hurt?
No. Like, I agree with, in fact, if they don't let him hit, if he plays in the final game of the year, if they don't let him hit, I will be even more upset than I was when they could have let him hit earlier this year.
Yeah.
Or when Quatrero decided not to go for the combined no-hitter. I was so upset.
I don't remember this. Now it's my turn to not remember a Royals thing. I do not remember this at all.
Quatrero was like, no, they had the
Mike Myers.
The no-hitter
yeah,
going.
Mike Myers, yeah.
Okay.
He had the no-hitter through 7,
Yeah.
and then instead of pulling him and putting in a new pitcher, Quatrero let him go, and he gave up a hit, and he was that, and then he wouldn't let Greinke hit. There was literally an injury to the DH.
Okay. Well, retroactively, no, I'm in favor of that. Nah, if you got a chance at a real no-hitter, don't go for the fake no-hitter. Retroactively, I'm in favor of Matt Quatrero's move there.
But
gets my stamp of
if
approval.
they don't let him hit, if he pitches on Sunday coming up, I will be upset.
Can we talk about our top story?
What? Big 12 baseball or Big 12 baseball? Big 12 basketball?
We are going to get to the Big 12 basketball schedule in this headline segment. But
What
our
about-
top story is we have food.
Yeah, we've got
From the fine folks
Wahlburger.
at Hy-Vee.
Today is the 1-year anniversary of the opening of the Wahlburgers at Hy-Vee. So we have been delivered, and I am once again being vandalized.
Oh, that's a
holding it up
good-looking
to the
burger.
camera. That is what we've got. We've got ourselves a Wahlburger in the house.
Who's your favorite Wahlberg?
Mark, because he actually thinks he would have stopped 9/11.
Yeah, I'm a Marky Mark guy.
I gotta get rid of the pickles. I'm not a pickle guy on a burger, but
You're not a
everything
pickle guy
else-
for anything.
No, I'm not a pickle guy under any circumstance.
love a good pickle spear.
Fried pickles, J or nay?
No, but the wife loves them, so I will eat them because she'll order them.
I like them. There's a place that will give you the fried pickle spear. Oh, now that's next level. But I'll eat a fried pickle of any sort. Is everyone else going to eat? Am I going to run the segment here?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I look
mean,
over and Dan's already.
oh yeah, no, that's fine.
I took a bite, man.
That's all right.
Wanted the people
I'm
to
not
see.
complaining by any means. I just didn't know if I needed to, do the housekeeping
thin
and
onion ring. What do you call those? Onion. These aren't onion straws,
shoestring onions.
Onion strings.
but they're not strings. They're rings. They're in circles.
I'm
not.
I mean, it's a ring then.
Very thin ring. Either way,
Yeah.
I do love a good burger. Do you put the sauce on it? They have the special Wahlburger sauce.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I've got some tots over here. I thought about dipping them in.
What? You got the tots? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought we all got onion strings.
No, I was
Or-
asked which I wanted, and I picked tots. So you got onion rings.
Gosh. Sean, you gave him the tots?
No, I asked for them.
And you gave it to him?
Oh, well, you wouldn't stop. You kept talking. I didn't.
That's true. I was doing my job.
They're good. They're dang good.
And are they like jalapeno ones or
No,
cheddar?
They're
They look good.
sweet potato.
Sweet potato
yeah,
top. What did
yeah,
you
this is next
get?
level.
The onion strings.
Mouthful.
Don't make me talk with my mouth full, man.
Dan's like, hey, keep talking. Yeah, 1 year anniversary. Wahlburgers right there at Hy-Vee, 29th and Wanamaker.
Been taking care of us recently.
Go check them out today. Go get a Wahlburger.
Yes.
Go get your grocery shopping done. Go get gas. Hy-Vee got it all, man.
Yeah, they do. I haven't had a piece of Hy-Vee pizza in forever. That used to be a staple every Wednesday or whatever it was.
And then what happened?
we stopped doing live shows on Wednesdays.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, a
happened.
global pandemic.
Yes.
Made it kind of
That's
hard.
the answer to a lot of, I used to do this thing. Now I don't anymore. Well, why'd you stop? That global pandemic in
that
2020.
whole thing.
All these habits I had my whole
The
life
2 million people that died.
leading up to the second week of March 2020. What happened then? What's the common thread here?
This is so true.
This is tangentially related. I was for my birthday earlier this month, Abby got me a scrapbook. She made a scrapbook for me of all my credentials from games I've covered. And it's really cool. And I was helping to separate my credentials. Like, these were from basketball games at KU this year, football games from this year. This was, chronologically NCAA tournaments I've been to, whatever. And she held up a couple and said, "Are these from the same thing?" And I read them like, "Oh yeah, these are Big 12 tournaments. This one's 2019 and this one's 2020. That one's sad. I can't look at that one too much.
My wife did that as well. And we have a glass coffee table, and she super glued them all underneath it.
Those are really cool ideas.
So you can see all of it. And then one day last year, I think you guys know where I'm going with this. One day, don't know where's my son? Lawson, I'm downstairs. What are you doing? Nothing. Go down there. He pulled off every one of them things from the coffee table.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So that was actually a during COVID project for me when I was extremely bored. I ordered a couple of picture frames, and I made collages of my old credentials. And I've got like 2 picture frames of credentials just from like 2016 to 2020. And they hang in my basement now, along with most of my other wall art that I've essentially commandeered the basement of our house. It's the cave. I call it the sports dungeon, and Abby allows me to call it the sports dungeon.
Alrighty. My first headline that I will get to, and I will get to this one because this is a topic that I'll talk about. Travis Kelce's jersey spikes have sailed through the Fanatics network. You ready?
We'll try that again.
400% spike in sales through the Fanatics network. Why? Because Taylor Swift is now with Travis Kelce. He has now got the 5th highest selling jersey, and it'll be the number 1 jersey coming up here very, very soon. Especially if Taylor Swift shows up. I hope Taylor Swift shows up to the game against the Jets. I really do. I hope that happens. Because then we'll get some dumb comment from Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah. He's also gained close to 400,000 extra social media followers.
For him.
Yes, there's like Travis Kelce discourse now. Is he a good boyfriend?
Yeah, here's the thing. You may have heard that Taylor Swift fans are not Taylor Swift fans, the Swifties. You may have them, or Twitter, or even Reddit probably has them too. Until you've spent some time like diving through the obsession, you really don't grasp that it's not obsessed. It is insane. It is genuinely like, do we need to call a professional? We had people yesterday who were going viral on Twitter for posting Travis Kelce's star chart, except it wasn't complete because the woman who posted it didn't know what time of day he was born, so it wasn't fully done yet. When that was supposed to determine if they were compatible or not. We had someone who accused him of being a bad boyfriend for Taylor Swift because of the time he threw a punch at practice during training camp this year, said that was a show of violence and he can't be trusted. Like this, they ain't going to make it. Someone's not going to make it. There's going to be Chiefs fans. There's going to be Taylor Swift fans. This is going to be bloody. This is going to be Passchendaele on the internet between these two sides.
You know who else hopes that Taylor Swift turns up at MetLife Stadium on Sunday night? Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth.
Yes.
Because nobody was happier to have Taylor Swift in the stadium than Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, and Aaron Andrews on Sunday, because that game was 34-0 at halftime. And you and me, all of us understand what it is to broadcast a football game and it's over at halftime. And you still got to do the second half. And you don't know what the hell you're going to talk about. But Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson and Aaron Andrews knew exactly what to talk about. The most famous woman in the world chilling in the press box with soup salesman Donna Kelsey.
By the way, while we're on football, but not really football stuff, having the Kelsey family do chunky soup ads, that's a return to greatness. Like, I'm not buying soup from Sean McVay. There's absolutely no chance. Absolutely no chance. My trusting dude who looks like an LA vegan to tell me that I should buy big meaty soup.
They couldn't even get his mom to do the commercials with him. Like, Mama McNabb was the ideal spokesperson.
Hell, they couldn't even get his supermodel wife to do it.
What about
it was literally just Sean McVay riding around on an ATV saying, hey, good job out there. Yeah, go buy soup. Like, no, I'm not buying from that guy.
Gronk? You had Gronk do the soup?
Did he do chunky?
I thought he did.
I don't know. No, I mean, they're not paying us. I really don't need to advertise for them, but I'm not buying soup from Sean McVay.
To borrow a line from one of the great tweets of all time, I think Gronk would do a commercial for genocide if the check was on time.
Yeah, he would. Especially if it was FanDuel endorsed. You put a FanDuel sticker on anything, Gronk's going to be there.
We're boosting the odds of genocide to plus 100 for the next 6 hours for our new users at FanDuel.
All right, should we get to an actual sports headline here?
Travis Kelce's jersey sales is a sports headline.
Sure.
Let's get to the Big 12 basketball schedule.
Let's get to the Big 12 basketball
Which, by
schedule.
the way, KU with a great home and away schedule.
Yes, it's looking pretty snazzy for KU. Let's start with the Jayhawks and their schedule, Big 12-wise, for this year. We already knew the non-conference schedule. We knew the home and away opponents for this year. So KU is going to open up conference play. They get TCU on January 6th. That's a home game, their first road conference game. That's going to be a tough one. They got to go all the way to Orlando to take on a really bad UCF team. That'll come up on January 10th. Other headlines for the Jayhawks: their first matchup with Cincinnati as league members. That's going to be a lot of fun. Allen Fieldhouse on January 22nd. That is, and if my calendar on my computer worked, I would pull it up for you, but it doesn't, so let's move on. January 22nd, Cincinnati will make its debut at Allen Fieldhouse. The lone game KU has against Iowa State this year, that is trash, by the way, that they only play Iowa State once. That'll be in Ames on January 27th. The K-State games versus KU. We'll get more on K-State here in a moment. They get K-State in Manhattan, February 5th. That is Big Monday, 8 o'clock, February 5th, Bramlage Coliseum, KU K-State. That game is going to be a blast. And then K-State makes its return trip to Lawrence for KU Senior Day on March 5th. Always a lot of emotion. That is going to be especially notable because especially in the last few years, KU has played tight on senior night.
Yeah, they've had some narrow senior night victories.
Including each of the last 2 years. Do you remember by chance 2 years ago?
When they almost lost to TCU?
No, it was Texas Tech.
That was Tech.
Yeah, it was Tech.
TCU was 3 years ago, I think.
Yes, and Jalen Coleman-Lands Tech was last year. Texas was 2 years ago, and Jalen Coleman-Lands missed hitting a falling down buzzer beater by a 1/10 of a second. It was almost one of the greatest shots I've ever seen. KU still won, but still. They go to Baylor on February 10th. Or I'm sorry, that's home for Baylor February 10th, at Baylor on March 2nd. BYU will make its debut at Allen Fieldhouse as a conference member on February 27th. And Houston will appear at Allen Fieldhouse on February 3rd. So that's it for the newcomers. And again, we've already known the non-conference schedule. Illinois, the exhibition game on October 29th. Exhibition home opener November 1st. Regular season opener on November 6th. Missouri, December 9th. Indiana, December 16th. That'll be in Bloomington. And then in Kansas City against Wichita State coming up on December 30th. As for Kansas State basketball and their headlining games for the year, I got to pull this up. So one moment, if you please, with the K-State schedule for this year. Happy birthday, Michaela Bridge, by the way. It's his birthday for the Kansas State Wildcats. They are going to open things up against a newcomer in the Big 12, January 6th. They will play UCF. So that's a fun little start for K-State, getting, again, a bad UCF program to open up the year. The newcomer, other games against Kansas State, they will go on the road to take on Houston, January 27th, on the road to take on BYU on February 10th, and on the road to take on Cincinnati on March 2nd. So they've got to go on the road to all of these. They're kind of fun, but also kind of tough to get road. I guess you get home games against teams you know. That's sort of nice, I suppose. Other headline games for Kansas State. We already went over the KU games. They will play Iowa State twice. Their senior day for Kansas State will be against Iowa State March 9th. They'll go to Ames on January 24th. Not a bad schedule for the Cats this year. They will play Texas only once. That game will be on the road. That'll be on February 19th.
Big Monday at Bramlage.
That's going to be
At
crazy.
8 p.m. It is going to be so crunk up in that thing.
Yep.
Like, oh my goodness. And last year's atmosphere, because I was there for the game at Bramlage. Obviously, K-State won that game in overtime. That was a nuclear hot crowd. And I can only imagine what it's going to be for Big Monday. Like, that is going to be an absolutely incredible atmosphere. And then senior day at Allen Fieldhouse is always great. It's just going to be great college basketball theater when KU and K-State get together this year. I'm already excited. I'm circling both those days on the calendar.
Yeah.
Make sure I don't miss those.
In recent memory, the two best environments at Bramlage Coliseum that I have been to and can remember, both KU games, understandably. 2019 at Bramlage, that was Cartier-Jara, the dunk, and the windmill. I mean, everyone remembers that game, for better or for worse, depending on your side of the rivalry. And then the championship year for Kansas, so 2022 at Bramlage, that was the first game after Bill Self's dad passed away, when K-State was up 16 and lost.
Right.
I mean, it was a great environment. It was crazy at halftime. And then, obviously, the comeback by KU was wild. Yeah, that's going to be nuts. That's going to be incredible. Coming up Big Monday that week.
We got a question from the YouTube comments. Jason asking in regards to the spike in Travis Kelce's jersey sales. Which jerseys are the top selling in the league? I cannot tell you year over year, but NFLshop.com does tell us which the top selling jerseys of August 2023 were. That's the closest information I can find. Jalen Hurts had the best selling jersey at that time, followed by Micah Parsons, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Jason Kelce. Then Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen, Kenny Pickett, Sauce Gardner, Christian McCaffrey rounded out the top 10. Again, that's just for August of 2023. I don't have year over year data or anything like that, but just gives you an idea of what the hottest selling NFL jerseys have been recently.
Any other headlines for you today?
No, we may as well move on. We got a jam-packed final hour of the show today because, again, it is our final hour of the show. We hand it off to Royals Baseball at the top of the 5 o'clock hour.
And we've still got What Is Wrong With You coming up on the other side of this timeout, and Michael Swain joining us later this hour for Jayhawk Weekly. All that's coming up in this 4 o'clock and final hour of 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you time here on 580 Sports Talk? Brendan and Dan taking you the rest of the way. We've got Jayhawk Weekly coming up in a few minutes with Michael Swain from fog.net. But first, we've got to find our weekly winner in What is Wrong with You, which, as always, is brought to you by Top City Metal Supply, which cuts the metal you need to your specifications, saving time, money, and material. Never settle when it comes to metal at Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, halfway between Frito-Lay and Forbes Field. Our winner for the week so far is the woman who got really drunk back in February in Bellevue, Florida. I started getting belligerent in public. So the police came and they called her husband. They tried to get her to calm down. Husband showed up and said, hey, let's get you home. She started screaming at him, jumped into their car, jumped out of their car, was pointing at the police, yelling at the police, and she peed herself. She urinated in her pants. And then when her husband again continued to try to de-escalate the situation, she pantsed him. She was taken to jail for 12 days for disorderly conduct before he bailed her out.
That's my favorite detail of the story.
Made her sit in jail for 12 days to think about what she's done.
Make me laugh every time.
2 news stories today. I will go first. And I wanted to make sure we got this story in because I think it's very funny. I just don't know really how to put this without getting in trouble with the old FCC. So the Royal Canadian Air Force, the RCAF, is investigating an inappropriate and unapproved call sign that was transmitted electronically from one of its aircraft on Monday. RCAF identifiers, which are also known as call signs, contain 4 letters and 2 numbers. They are assigned to pilots and usually remain unchanged. However, on Monday, it appeared that one had been tweaked because a CF-18 Hornet on a flight in the United Kingdom was broadcast globally with the identifier, I can spell it, right?
Sure you can.
DICK69.
Yeah.
Dick 69 is what it said. You can't do that.
The assigned call sign was BLDE11. And this enterprising pilot decided he would change it and have a little fun with it instead. And that didn't go over super great.
In a globally publicly viewable demonstration of poor judgment and lack of situational awareness, a Canadian Air Force pilot of a CF-188 Hornet seems to have set the plane's Mode S transponder to broadcast a call sign of DICK69. Within its statement, the Royal Canadian Air Force said it expects all members to display the highest standard of integrity and professionalism. The identifier, by the way, was still displaying on 2 flight tracking services as of yesterday.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, this isn't like a grand scheme of things big deal, but it's also so dumb. And it just makes you wonder why. So I was cruising all over the UK in the air, signaling to the whole world, hey, guess what my plane's called? Guess what my aircraft's called?
Hey, read my identifier. It's funny. It's funny because it's funny. Look,
yeah.
The number 69, it's funny to you or it's not. And if it's not funny, no amount of explaining is ever going to make it funny. And even if you have the explanation, it's not funny to you, then no amount of explanation is going to make it funny. But if it is funny to you, it's going to be funny to you forever because secretly you're like 13 years old.
Yeah. Hey,
and,
look, man, funny is funny.
Yes. At any age. For my story today, we go to Burns, Tennessee, a little town sandwiched between US 70 to the north and Interstate 40 to the south, little west, maybe slightly south and west of Nashville, Greater Nashville, a town of about 1,500 people. And we meet the mayor of this town, Landon Mathis. And typically, if we are hearing about small town mayors, that's not good.
Nope.
This small town mayor has been arrested on a domestic assault charge. According to court documents from the Dixon County Sheriff's Office, the son of Mathis's girlfriend told deputies he and Mathis made a deal about weed eating the yard for $40. The victim said Mathis later told him he wouldn't pay him for the job.
Oh, you can't do that.
And a physical altercation ensued. Mathis is accused of pushing his girlfriend's son onto the couch and leaving marks on his neck. Court documents allege Mathis's girlfriend told the two to break it up. When the victim was walking away, Mathis reportedly stepped on his feet, grabbed him, body slammed him into a neck hold, and then twisted his nose.
Body slam into a neck hold. I don't remember hearing that called by Gorilla Monsoon on old WWF videos.
Yeah, I don't know whose finisher that is. Like, I don't know where you would find that if you were creating a character on WWF SmackDown to Know Your Role.
Yeah, I don't know what a neck hold is. I do kind of hope this was a true body slam, though. Like, he picked them up and flipped them over. Like, I mean, don't do that, obviously, but it's quite a visual.
You could do that into a neck hold, I think. But then you twist his nose. Twisting the nose is wild.
Yeah.
That is also not a finisher I think you can whip your created wrestler with on the WWE 2K or whatever. Mathis being charged 1 count of domestic assault. He beat up his girlfriend's kid because, I don't know, he did not do a good enough job weed eating the yard. I hate that chore. One of my least favorite yard chores.
Yeah.
Getting the weed eater out.
Yeah.
You feel like you need to wear like soccer shin pads. I hate that chore.
Yeah.
I would absolutely pay somebody to do that for me. But, like, you have to pay them.
Yeah.
You come up off that money, man. If it's substandard work, make them go out and do it again.
Sure. Like, hey, you'll get your 40. You got to earn your 40. So get back out there. That would be reasonable. This is not.
Twisting his nose.
Yeah, what a weird thing to do. I'm so confused. All right, who gets the win today?
I'm gonna go with Dick 69 like that. That's really funny to me.
Look,
he would do that. He just thought it would be a laugh.
Yeah,
and now the Royal Canadian Mounted Police had to throw him out of the Air Force.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, there's a lot of ways. Why can't you be like a normal person and just graffiti it in the bathroom? Like, Teehee 69. No, he had to change his identifier. Why are you allowed to do that? I would feel like that's something that you can't change, that you don't have the ability to change.
Yeah, really? I would think, yeah, they don't let you change that because you might end up
writing.
Yeah, doing that. Like, it's like when you go bowling, right? Like,
yeah,
you go bowling and there's like your 3 initials that you put in for your bowling. So you're out there with 2 buddies and you want to be one of the first 2 because somebody's going to do poo and somebody's going to do ass. And then you don't get to be funny if you don't get a chance to do that with your 3 letters. It's a great Simpsons bit. Or poo and ass taken.
Yeah, that one gets the win for today. But does that take down the woman who wet herself and got drunk and pantsed her husband and then spent 12 days in jail?
12 days. Maybe not long enough, to be honest. I would have made her stay that one extra weekend.
Do you think she got a couple phone calls, or do you think she, like, 3 days in, she got her one call and said, "Can you please pick me up?" And he said, "No, I'll see you another 9."
Yeah, it's like I'll get around to it when I get around to it.
Yeah.
I got scrounged together the money, and I'm going to drag my feet.
It's going to take me another 8 days to get these pants pulled up.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be like this. Really didn't. That is still our winner in What Is Wrong With You, brought to you by Top City Metal Supply. That's metal cut to order when you need it. Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard. On the other side of this break, we've got Jayhawk Weekly with Michael Swain here on 580 Sports Talk. Michael Swain of Fog.net and 24/7 Sports is joining us here on 580 Sports Talk, as he does at this time every single Tuesday for Jayhawk Weekly. Go check out all of Michael's coverage of KU at Fog.net and 24/7 Sports, and you can find him on Twitter too, at mswain247. Michael, I've got to ask, because it is, well, all that one of my co-hosts has wanted to talk about this week. How interested were you in doing some investigative journalism into finding out whether or not Taylor Swift was in Lawrence yesterday?
Oh, negative. I do not care. Don't let Taylor Swift Twitter hear that, though. I don't really want my mentions to be a mess. But no, we all know Taylor Swift is not going to go to Lawrence in the broad of daylight with Travis Kelce. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah, she usually prefers to go to the Hawk on a Saturday night instead. There's actually photo proof of that one. So, all right, that is out of the way. Let's get to actual ball here. Let's talk Kansas Jayhawks. They beat BYU 38-27 this past weekend in a game that, while I was maybe a little bit frustrated with certain things in the first half, overall, looking back on it, and even right after the end of that game, I thought, damn, that was a really good team win. The passing game was efficient, if not overused. The running game was efficient as well. I thought the offensive line looked great. I thought the play calling was solid on both sides of the ball. And, defensively, I thought they played pretty dang well. 2 defensive touchdowns. I know Slovis put up a bunch of yards, but overall, did you feel a similar way, Michael, that was just a very complete kind of effort from both sides of the ball and special teams too?
Yeah, and I don't think you're really, I think in football, right, I think you're always kind of chasing the perfect performance, and it very rarely comes, right? I think that you look back even to last season, right, with how well KU played in the first 2 weeks of the season, there wasn't the perfect performance, and I guess really what matters is, can you put it all together to win games? And I think for a long time, right, you've seen KU hang around in games. Like, I think we could think back to that Texas game in 2019, right, where Kansas hung around in the game but couldn't get it across the line. And I think it says something about where this program is at now, where you can go through that BYU game and go through some good things, right? And then you can go through and find some bad things too. And what matters most is that Kansas won the football game. And so I think overall, there were definitely some encouraging parts, right? The defense continues to force havoc. I mean, 9 pass breakups when the opposing team drops back 51 times. That's kind of crazy, it feels like to me. Then you look at kind of the run defense for KU. That was a big positive. You look at the run game on offense for KU. That was a big positive. And then there's really just the penalty thing that I think, back-to-back weeks now, it really has impacted KU, and it's something they're really going to have to fix, because in that chase for the perfect performance, well, one of the best ways to get closer to that is not shoot yourself in the foot. And so I think that's going to be a big focus this week. But overall, I think you got to be pretty pleased with what you saw against BYU, because that's a really well-coached team, and KU was able to do enough to get a win.
Defensively in that game for KU, you obviously had the scoop and score after the forced fumble by Kobe Bryant on what was an unbelievable play. You had the pick six off the tip drill by Kenny Logan. After, let's not forget, 2 plays earlier, O.J. Burrows should have had a pick six of his own, and it had the ball go right through the breadbasket. Kobe picks off another pass later on, and they hold BYU to, I believe it was 9 rushing yards on 22 attempts. I know that Slovis put up a lot of yards through the air because he threw the ball 51 times. But overall, even considering the passing yards given up, I don't know that you could have asked for a whole lot more from a defense against a pretty competent, if not super overwhelming offense from BYU.
Yeah, totally. So I think you look at this game, right, and for me, the biggest takeaway is that BYU came into this game and said, yeah, we can't run the ball against this defense, right? From the get-go, BYU was looking to spread the ball outside, and I think that says something about what Kansas has put on tape so far this year, that a team as well coached as BYU, as well drilled as BYU, comes into a game and says, yeah, we cannot do that against this defense. We're really not even going to try and challenge them there over the course of the game. And so, you're always going to have to give up something, right? Again, there's not really, unless you're Georgia, it's really hard to have a perfect defense. And so, yeah, if you drop back 51 times, if KU had perfect coverage on 51 snaps, like, you'd have to give all the praise in the world to those guys. But look, these are college athletes. It's unrealistic to expect perfection. And so there's always going to be a couple busted coverage plays. And for me, I look at the average yards per attempt as being kind of the big barometer. And Keaton Slovis averaged 7 yards an attempt. You can live with that in terms of just a raw statistic, and he completed less than 60% of his passes. So I think you live with those more efficiency numbers. And you have to give up something. And so I think for KU, right, just if they can limit some more of those deep passes and be a little bit better there, I think this defense is really, rounding out well. And again, I think it says so much about what KU's shown this season that BYU went in this game and did not try and run it right at Kansas. They really tried to avoid that.
I know that we all want to see big, crazy, flashy, shiny plays from Jalen Daniels because they're fun and he's incredibly talented and awesome and all of those things. But I don't think anyone's going to complain if KU is going to win a game by multiple scores and only has to pass the ball 19 times for the game and 4 times in the second half. Were you surprised to any degree that KU didn't have to throw darn near at all in that second half? And when they did, it was as efficient as it was?
Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised because I think, as time has gone on, right, I think we learn more and more about what Kansas wants this thing to look like and what Lance Leipold and the coaching staff wants it to look like, right? And it's a team that's going to control the clock and control the pace of play. And when your offensive line starts to cook like it did in the second half, then, yeah, I don't see KU going away from that. They're the type of coaching staff that they're not ego-driven, right? It's what's working. Cool, let's keep doing that. And the run game was working. And so I think that was kind of a double-edged sword where, yeah, they could run the ball effectively, right, getting about 8 yards per carry for most of the second half, but then also they can drain the clock. And when you're up by 2 scores, right, that's what you want. You need to drain the clock, eat up possessions, make sure that the other team doesn't have much of a chance to come back in the game. So, no, I'm not terribly surprised KU didn't pass the ball much, and I think Jalen Daniels is probably perfectly fine with that because at the end of the day, KU got a win, and now they're going to get to go into Texas with plenty of momentum.
Our guest is Michael Swain of Fog.net. He joins us weekly for Jayhawk Weekly on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. We do it every Tuesday at this time on the program. Check out Michael's work at Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. And, of course, follow him on Twitter at mswain247. So it's on to Texas, where Kansas opened as a 19.5-point underdog against a team that already has a win at Alabama this year and are now the prohibitive favorites to win the Big 12 Conference this year. In what ways is Texas going to stress test Kansas on either side of the ball in a way that they haven't been tested yet?
I think every way possible. Honestly, this
awesome.
This is as good of a Texas team as I've seen. And look, I think everyone can make jokes about Texas and the fact that they tend to fall flat in these types of games, or the games that aren't the Red River shootout. But I just look at this Texas team, guys, and they got after KU last year, right? You can't forget that. That was a 4-quarter domination of the umpteenth degree, and Texas is a lot better, right? Kansas is a lot better too, and they're going to enter this game a lot healthier than they were in that Texas game last year. But this is going to really challenge the physicality, the execution that this team can have, right? I think everyone has been really impressed with the physical level that Kansas has played at. Now they're going to go up against an offensive line that has 2 NFL prospects, legit NFL prospects, not the, maybe they're a draft pick type of guys. On defense, they're going to be physical. They're going to be faster than KU's played against. This is going to be an absurd test for this team because I just think I look at where KU has found margins to win against teams so far this year, right? They've been faster than Illinois, and against BYU, they're able to out-physical them in the second half. Well, it's going to be really hard to out-physical Texas. And if Kansas does out-physical Texas, well, then we're talking about Kansas probably competing for the Big 12 title or at least a spot in it. So I just look at this Texas team, and it's just so many different things that they can challenge you with. And KU's going to have to go in there, execute, no turnovers, right? No penalties, force a couple turnovers from Quinn Ewers or one of the Texas running backs, and just pray that it's an off game because that's how good this Texas team is. You don't beat Alabama on the road by accident, even if it's a bad Alabama team. It doesn't happen by a fluke. This is a good team. So I'm interested to see how Kansas handles it because, again, stern test, and we've seen how much KU's improved, but this is really going to be a big measuring stick just to see how close KU is to the top of the conference, which in and of itself is a good thing to say, right? We're not talking about how far from the bottom is Kansas. All right, how far from the top is KU this season?
So what does the path to victory look like for Kansas? What things can they do to apply some pressure, to hang with Kansas, and maybe find themselves in a position to steal one and pull one of the biggest upsets of the college football season?
Yeah, I think the chaos factor, right, that we've seen KU's defense have, that's going to be really big. You need to force at least 2 turnovers. I think offensively, they're going to need to find a way to run the ball. And I don't know if that's going to happen between the tackles. I think they're going to have to be really creative. I think this will be a big game for the option for Jalen Daniels, where if you remember back to that Texas game last year, that was Jalen Daniels' first game back, I believe, after being injured. And so you look at the run plays they did, it wasn't a lot of option. And so I think the option's going to have to be on the table for this game. And the defense is going to have to come to play. They're going to have to get hats to the ball. And then offensively, just control the clock. Maybe you get a couple explosive plays, but I think this is a game that KU's really going to try and suck the air out of it. Maybe play 4 or 5 drives a half. They don't want this to be a 16 drive game or drive total for both teams. Like, they need this to be a low possession count, a game where you kind of minimize the talent gap that will be there.
Final couple of questions for Michael Swain, who covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net and 24/7 Sports. Go follow him on Twitter at mswain247. He joins us every week at this time on Tuesdays for Jayhawk Weekly on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Last football question I've got for you, Michael. I know you retweeted it earlier today from Parker Fleming, Stats of War on Twitter, the advanced stats preview for this game. And the projected score of this contest, and Stats of War on Twitter, great follow. He's really good with all these numbers, really interesting stuff. Projected score, 42.7 for Texas, 18.4 for KU. Gave KU just over a 5% chance to win. Does that seem fair? Like, I think KU can be competitive in this game at their best. I'm not going to pick Kansas to win this game, understandably so. Would you say, though, that like 95-5 is kind of how this game lines up?
So if you look at the Vegas line, the money line's like minus 950. And in terms of like implied odds, that's about a 10% chance for the opposing team to win. I think that's probably more realistic. You play this game 10 times. I think KU probably gets it once. I think that's probably a lot more realistic than you play it 100 times and KU gets it 5 times. Like, I think that's probably a little bit on the low side, but I think I look at the numbers there, right? And I think that's playing to the averages this season. And, this is a game where Kansas can't play to what its average has been this season, right? If they do, then yeah, I think that is a realistic score that could happen. Now, I'm not going to bet on that. I think Kansas, in the end, will probably get close to covering the spread, but I just think this is one that, yeah, like if you told me the final score is going to be 42-21, I'd say, yeah, that wouldn't shock me. Texas is that good, so we'll have to see. But I think in terms of the overall percentage, right, 5%, no, I give KU a higher chance than that.
All right, a couple quick basketball ones, and we'll let you go, Michael. Number one, what are the Jayhawks getting in LeBaron Philon, who just committed to Bill Self yesterday?
Yeah, I think he's kind of your traditional Bill Self guard, right? He can play on the ball, he can play off the ball. He's a team-first guy. You go and look at some of his high school tape and the AAU tape, and he plays well with his team, which, considering the current landscape of grassroots basketball, that's saying something, right? A lot of guys want to get their own. So I think that's really impressive. He's a good defender. Would I surprise you guys by saying his shot needs work? That sounds, maybe
that sounds like
a
a Jayhawk
guards, so I think that's the biggest thing, but I think it's a good addition. And considering it's a quick pivot from Jaleel Bethea, I think that's a pretty good get.
And final thing, the full basketball schedule for KU is now out. It's always basketball season around here, isn't it? Anything notable, anything particularly interesting about that schedule?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. Three big Mondays, right? 2 of them on the road, 1 at home. I think the home stretch, like, what in the world? Like, the schedule makers are just looking for some drama here, right? Close with the road game at Baylor, then KU hosts K-State on senior night. I can't remember the last time that happened. And then it's at Houston to end conference play. I mean, talk about a gauntlet to end it. I think the Big 12 won't be decided till the final week because of it.
Michael Swain covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Go check out all of his phenomenal work covering the Jayhawks there. Go find him on Twitter as well, at mswain247. He joins us for Jayhawk Weekly every Tuesday afternoon. Michael, we appreciate the time, man. Enjoy Austin this weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Talk to you next week.
That's Michael Swain from Fog.net. It's going to be an uphill climb this week. I think KU at its best has a chance to keep this game close, and at its best, with a bad day from Texas, can win. But just in terms of how likely is that? Not very.
I don't think they'll get run off the track.
I agree.
I really don't. I could see them hanging around and maybe Texas pulling away late. I think that's more likely than Texas going up like 28-3 in the first half. I think Kansas will come out ready to play. They'll be properly motivated, and I think they'll hang tough for a while. But this is the Texas team we've been told was coming for years now. Like this is a team that's as good as any Texas team. Like you go back to the Vince Young years. This kind of Texas talent we're dealing with here. Finally.
Yeah, been a while. We've got one break to get to. We're off early today for Royals baseball, so let's take a timeout, come back. We got the final word coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Wrapping up 580 Sports Talk before we get to Royals baseball with a quick final word. You're up, Dan.
This is just breaking news being announced by the Baltimore Orioles organization. Rest in peace to Brooks Robinson, maybe the greatest third baseman of all time, certainly one of the greats of his era, the human vacuum cleaner. 16 Gold Gloves, the standard of defensive third base. He was an 18-time All-Star, 2-time world champion and a Hall of Famer, and by all accounts, one of the good human beings to play the game as well. Rest in peace, Brooks Robinson passed away today.
When I played youth baseball, I stunk. I mean, I was not good. I was bad at the plate, but I could field. I was a really good fielder. When I was 9 years old, I had a coach tell me that I was as good as Brooks Robinson at third base. And once I learned who Brooks Robinson was that day when I was 9 years old, that was probably the best compliment I ever got in my athletic career. And I was a fan ever since because I found out, wow, he was really freaking good. So rest in peace to the great, great Brooks Robinson. Final word for me. Feel pretty smart about my take right before the season started that Trent McDuffie is going to be an all-pro this year. Jake brought out the numbers today, how good the Chiefs defense has been with him, how good he has been as well. Even if he's not the only reason that Chiefs pass defense is playing well, he's a pretty darn good player, pretty special player. Let's get to some Royals baseball pregame coverage coming up at the top of the hour. We're back tomorrow at 2 until 5 again. For Jake, for Dan, I'm Brendan. This has been 580 Sports Talk.